farewell to two head coaches. At Virginia, George Welsh took the Cavaliers from longtime loser to perennial winner. Now, after 19 seasons, Welsh will coach his last game for the Wahoos. At Georgia, Jim Donnan is out as top dog, but count on the Bulldogs putting a little bite in their bark. The Oahu Bowl is next.
George Welsh is in his 19th and final season at Virginia. Jim Donnan is in his 5th and final season at Georgia. One wanted out, the other did not. One will go out with a win, the other will not. We'll hear from both head coaches next.
Where can you see Bruce, Michelle, Pierce, and Nicholas and get a great bonus? Only on Showtime Unlimited with 10 channels for only...
I am here to announce my retirement as football coach at the University of Virginia. It's been a long journey for me from Coaldale, Pennsylvania. And now it's time for this old salt to sail off into the sunset.
George Welsh is set to put an end to his Cavalier coaching career. Virginia wants to send him out on a winning note. Georgia has similar motivation. It's Jim Donnan's final game as head coach of the Bulldogs.
Splash City.
The beautiful beaches of Hawaii, the perfect backdrop for a college bowl game. Both Georgia and Virginia will be emotionally charged as they say aloha to their respective leaders. The sun and the surf meet football on the turf here in paradise next. This is Aloha Stadium in Honolulu, Hawaii. We're set for the Jeep Oahu Bowl between the 24th-ranked Georgia Bulldogs out of the SEC and the Virginia Cavaliers out of the ACC. Mele Kalikimaka, or Merry Christmas, everybody. If you can't be home for the holidays, well, Hawaii's not a bad place to be. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Levy. Virginia and Georgia will meet for the third bowl game in the last 5 seasons. The last time they got together, the '98 Peach Bowl, Georgia trailed 21-0 and roared from behind to win. I'm pleased to kick off Bowl Week with my partner, Todd Christensen, and not to be lost in the big story about the two departing head coaches, really the big picture, and just how important this game is for these two programs.
It really is. I think a lot of people look at the bowl game as a reward for the teams, and indeed it is. But it also sets the tone for the next year in terms of recruiting. And whoever is going to come in to man the reins for either school, whether it be Virginia or Georgia, they have some big shoes to fill, as a tremendous legacy has been left by both Donnan and Welsh.
As for the 67-year-old George Welsh, 28 years as a head coach, he's calling it quits after the last 19 at Virginia. He said, quite frankly, he wanted to get out when his health began to deteriorate. He said the stress was just simply too much.
The stress factor this year, I really had trouble sleeping. All the little things that I used to be able to put aside. And even in the off season, I felt more pressure in some ways. So I thought I'd better get out. It was time to go.
This was the scene just moments ago. George Welsh addressing his troops prior to his final game. As for Welsh, and to illustrate just what he has meant to the Virginia program, prior to George Welsh, the Cavaliers had never been to a bowl game. Under him, this is their 12th.
Yeah, 10 in the last 12 years, as a matter of fact. And let's not forget, George Welsh, the winningest coach in the history of the ACC. He has really established a tremendous program and an institution that heretofore was known solely for their academics.
As for Jim Donnan and Georgia, they started 6-1. They were ranked 9th in the country. Then they lost 3 out of their last 4. And not only was Donnan fired, he was told he couldn't coach this bowl game.
That was one of the things that really bothered me, coming out and saying, hey, you can, we don't want you to coach in the game either. And then I went and told the team that I couldn't. And then the team came back with made it pretty clear they wanted me to come, but I didn't feel very good about that kind of situation.
Here's the situation. This was earlier today. Jim Donnan walking into the Georgia locker room for the last time as the Bulldogs head coach. And Todd, the Donnan situation's a curious one. He has graduated his players. Their stadium is sold out every week, and yet after this game, he's out of a job.
I find it interesting, Steve, that if after this game Georgia were to be victorious, that would be 40 wins in his 5-win tenure. And I'm thinking that if you're a coach trying to get a new job or procure employment, if you had on the resume 5 straight seasons in the very difficult difficult SEC, averaging 8 wins a year, you would get a job. Certainly there's a shockwave throughout the coaching fraternity in the United States.
Donnan's late season slide with Georgia has to be linked hand in hand with their quarterback, their star quarterback, Quincy Carter, who missed his last 3 games due to a thumb injury. He will not play.
Very difficult to believe that at the beginning of the season, this young man was one of the people they were touting for the Heisman, but a 5-interception performance against South Carolina, as well as the injuries, really doomed his season. His replacement is Corey Phillips, who in the last game of the year against Georgia Tech threw 62 balls, threw for over 400 yards. He has the best arm, according to Jim Donnan, that he's been around. And remember, this is a guy that coached Chad Pennington. On the other side, Dan Ellis, too, missed a number of games because of a hamstring injury. He is back today, hoping that he can play well enough to have his head coach go out a winner.
Well, that takes care of the offensive leaders for the respective teams. As for the defensive standouts, let's go down to the field. Join our colleague, Dave Ryan.
All right, Stephen Todd, thanks so much. With a quarterback situation in mind for each team, the defenses are going to play a very big role in this game today. On paper, Georgia looks to have the advantage. They have the 12th-ranked scoring defense in the country, giving up just 18 points a game. Their leader up front, unquestionably, defensive tackle Marcus Stroud. He's going to be in the UVA backfield all day using an old-fashioned bull rush to beat the Cavalier offensive line. The Virginia coaches know he has the ability to collapse the pocket on his own. He's that strong. Also a defensive captain. Virginia's defensive leader is Yabrenel Isabel. He led the Cavaliers with 128 tackles, more than 11 a game this year. From the linebacker spot, Isabel can be a nightmare all day for Georgia in their backfield because he has the ability to track down anyone. Great speed, a good leader as well, guys. Very good against the run. He wants to win this game very much for his coach, George Welsh.
All right, Dave, thanks very much. We realize where you are on Christmas Eve might be rather chilly in Charlottesville, home of the Cavaliers, 7 degrees. In Athens, home of the Bulldogs, 18 degrees. And however, we have to point out the local weather forecast and the temperature and the situation here. Yes, we say ho, ho, ho.
Wait. I saw Boston on there where you live. What was Alpine, Utah? What's the deal?
83 degrees. We will say partly cloudy skies as we get set for the Jeep Aloha Bowl. Now, Virginia and Georgia.
Did you get that pronunciation? Remember, you saw the apostrophe now between the O and the A in Oahu.
Right.
Hawaii. See?
I was just happy to get Malay Kalimaka. Kaliki Maka there out.
Shaka Bra, you the man.
I think I blew that last year. Virginia has won the toss. Deferred. Georgia will receive. David Green puts it in the air and puts it into the end zone. Bruce Thornton will take a knee, and we will have Georgia, the visiting team in the white uniforms. Virginia, they're the home team in the dark jerseys. And Georgia will open like this. Terrence Edwards is their burner wide receiver. However, keep in mind, with Carter out of the lineup, Edwards will back up Corey Phillips. He's their second string quarterback, and we could see him under center some this afternoon. On 1st down and 10, Georgia opens up from their 20-yard line. They open out of the shotgun, and the pass is completed to Damian Gary. And Gary is pushed out close to a 1st down. And the rest of our Beck's starting lineup, the offensive line, Jennings and Stinchcomb among the stars, and a very good Georgia offensive line.
Defensive line, take a look at Monsanto Pope in the middle for Virginia. He's going to be key to stopping the running game of Georgia today.
Gain of 7 on that last play brings up a 2nd down and 3. Neither of these teams used to playing in an empty stadium, and that's what Aloha Stadium is right now. Off the play action again. Phillips rolling to his right under pressure, firing, and it is nearly intercepted. They say the ball hit the ground. Jason Rader, the tight end, was the intended target. Jerton Evans, the free safety, nearly came up with the pick. The Virginia linebackers for you, and they go 1, 2, 3 in terms of the team leaders in tackles: Thweet, Isabel, and Green.
All 3 of them over 100 tackles. In the secondary, they have struggled all year. The man who almost came up with that pick, Jerton Evans, is the stud back there.
Off the incompletion brings up a 3rd down and 3. Receiver out to the right, one to the left. Single setback is Brett Milliken. And they hand it off to Milliken. He is bumped from behind. We'll see where they spot his forward progress. He could be very close to the 1st down. I think where the official is standing, they will give it to him, and they have. 1st down for Georgia. Donnie Green brought him down. but not in time to prevent them from getting the first down.
A little bit of a spin there enabled him to cross the 30-yard line. We pointed out Corey Phillips mentioned the fact that he had thrown for over 400 yards in their last game against Georgia Tech. His arm strength is his strength. His mobility is a little bit limited, but obviously he doesn't have the athletic package that Quincy Carter has.
Fresh set of downs for the Bulldogs. 1st and 10 from the 30. Again, Phillips goes play action. And the throw showing nice touches right there on the money, complete to Randy McMichael. A gain of 7 on the play. Evans made the stop, brings up a 2nd and short.
Love to see those tight ends catch balls. And, of course, McMichael has been a terrific receiving tight end all year for the Georgia Bulldogs. Has the out here, extends himself, gets the 1 foot action, gets both feet in. Against Georgia Tech at the end of the season, Steve, a dozen balls he had, 12 catches for 156 yards.
That's the 2nd most in history by any position receiver. Shannon Mitchell against Florida made 15 catches. The screen pass to Edwards, cuts inside, cuts to midfield, staying on his feet. This is Terrence Edwards, and he is in Virginia territory down to the 41-yard line. Merrill Robertson finally brought him down after the gain of 22. Couple of missed tackles there by Virginia.
Watch number 70, Kevin Breedlove, is going to be out front. Coming hard is Sweet, but he can't make a play. Now, as you pointed out, Steve, it's a missed tackle on the part of Newby right here, who fails to wrap up. Now he's able to cut into the secondary and do a lot better. Edwards, of course, carrying on the family name of, remember that great tailback, Robert Edwards. Pro Bowl season with New England before he injured himself.
Looked like McGill might have moved the center. And we got our first flag of this football game.
Well, of course the center move. What are you talking about?
Before he snapped the football, maybe.
Dead ball, illegal snap on the offense, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Yeah, you can't do that, Todd.
Let me tell you something. When I was playing, I watched a guy by the name of Dwight Stevenson from Miami, and I could have sworn that he always beat the snap, and he was the center. That guy was a stud bolt. Ask any of the defensive linemen that played during his era. Now he's rightfully in the Hall of Fame despite a knee injury that shortened his career. Man, he was fun to watch.
Brings up a 1st and 15. Dolphins had themselves a pretty good day today, clinching the AFC East. Here's Phillips throwing across the middle. That ball was in and out of the arms of Jason Rader. It'll fall for an incomplete pass.
One of the things the tight end cannot hear is footsteps. If you're going to make your living primarily between the hash marks, you can't be waiting for the people that are going to come up and hit you. Clearly that was the case with Rader, who also had a catchable ball earlier. Look at right between the 8 and the 0. He felt him coming. He wanted no part of Donnie Green. That's a cool number. My dad told me to always get double digits. 33. That's a cool number for a linebacker. I don't know.
So why did you go 46?
That's the best I could get.
Oh,
I was happy to be. I've been cut twice, turned down by 5 other teams, man. I had to take him 3.5.
Play clock down to 4. They get it off. And the pass is complete to Randy McMichael, the tight end. So 6 of Georgia's first 7 plays are via the air and Phillips' arm.
And 4 of those 6 balls have gone to tight ends, interestingly enough. And McMichael now with his 2nd catch. When you got a big body like that and you have suppleness, a tight end like that can really change what you do defensively. Most defensive coordinators, Steve, want to be able to just say, well, we'll put a linebacker on him periodically, we'll put the strong safety on him, and he'll get lost in the zone. When you've got a pass catcher like McMichael, you have to do something special to defense him.
3rd down and 8. 4 wide receivers check in for Georgia. Here's Phillips out of the shotgun. Fires to a wide open Edwards. A flag is down as Edwards makes a move, runs down the sideline. No one to beat. Touchdown, but there is a flag on the play. And we'll see if it comes back. It would be a 39-yard touchdown pass play from Phillips to Edwards if it stands.
I'm guessing here that it looked like they might have had a man. That would have been easy. I said I'm guessing, but all of a sudden he gives the signal for it. Okay, never mind. Jerton Evans just got completely faked out by Edwards there in the secondary, right when I said that he was their stud in the secondary.
5-yard penalty, previous spot, still 3rd down.
There's a record we were talking about, Steve, and that's his career record. Very impressive, of course. He's the one responsible for building that Marshall program into the juggernaut it is today. And every time I look at those numbers and realize the competitive nature of that particular conference, holy cow, the SEC. I'm thinking 40 wins in 5 years, 39 wins in 5 years. That ain't awful.
Georgia.
Donnan's Georgia team will spend a timeout. Their first of the half. We're 3 minutes in. We're scoreless early on from Hawaii. Back at the Jeep Oahu Bowl. In the background there, you might have got a shot of Todd there. There he is, Todd being knocked over.
Wipe out.
Exactly, as we welcome you back inside.
By what group?
Aloha Stadium.
By what group?
Safari, of course.
Bam. You're the man.
Got it on my jukebox at home. Here's 3rd and 13 after the flag wipes out the touchdown, and that is nearly picked off again. Jerton Evans having himself a rather active first series.
Yep. One of the things that he does here, he's in the 2 deep zone, and that's completely on the other side of the field. Because he was not threatened by a white shirt, he came completely across the field and laid out. Watch the 2 deep. There he is right here at the screen. Look at this. He sprints completely across the field and laid. Whoa, boy, I like that. That's covering some ground. That's a serious center fielder there.
Evans, the only returning starting defensive back for Virginia, and an inexperienced bunch of DBs. Arlen Harris is back deep. Jonathan Kilgo will punt it away. And it will go out. We'll see where they spot that. Did that get the corner of the end zone?
Didn't. Said touchback.
Bring it out to the 20-yard line, and that's where Virginia will open up. And you see the argument there. A bit of an argument anyway. Dan Ellis is back to being the starting quarterback for Virginia. He joins Mike Groh and Sean Moore as the only Virginia quarterbacks to ever start 2 bowl games.
Very impressive. And, of course, on the outside, you got 2 6'4" receivers in McMullen and Coffey. But the man is going to be Womack, the leading rusher in the ACC this season, just like his counterpart, Thomas Jones, for the Cavaliers was last year.
On 1st down and 10, the Cavaliers' first crack at the football. Ellis completes to a wide-open Chris Luzar. And a good gain.
It's a tight end fest.
I knew you'd enjoy that. The rest of our Beck's starting lineup, the offensive line for Virginia, the 2 guards are the standouts, Lawson and Routson.
Georgia defensive line, maybe the best tandem of defensive tackles in the nation. At least that's how they tout them. Marcus Stroud and Richard Seymour.
2nd and 2, an offensive coordinator's dream. Out of the I formation. Ellis takes his time, and good play action off the handoff. Good fake there that he was going to put it up, and they give it to their standout running back, Antoine Womack. Gain of 9 by Womack. The linebackers for Georgia, also 1, 2, 3 in tackles for the Bulldogs.
Kendrell Bell in the middle is the stud ball. In the secondary, with the loss of Tim Wansley, a lot of pressure on the people in the secondary, particularly Dante Clements, who is replacing him.
Tim Wansley, the star, out because missing classes. His backup, Corey Robinson, also out. So they're going 3 deep at the right corner spot for Clements. Hand off to Womack, try the left side, making it look easy with a stiff arm, and he's exactly at midfield. Kentrell Curry took him on. Good block there for Womack by Routson, the right guard on Witherspoon.
We're talking about how the great defensive tackles are for Georgia, and so the idea is to get to the outside. You saw Routson does a great job of hooking. Coffey does a nice job downfield blocking, giving him that extra yardage. That doesn't bode well for the Georgia defense early on here, Steve.
You know, it's only fair. We were bragging about our nice weather. You'll feel much better knowing it is now raining here in Honolulu.
Oh, I can feel it. I think it dipped below 80.
They send the man in motion, Kevin Coffey, to the top side. And Ellis throwing that way and completing. Down the sideline is Billy McMullen before he was knocked out of bounds.
Couple of missed tackles, and again, that's the advantage of being 6'4", 202 pounds. Initially, as Jermaine Phillips, a strong safety, comes over and can't get him. Watch once again Coffey out front. Here he comes, cuts up the field, puts a juke on Phillips, a former tailback. Now there he is once again in the secondary. Kentrell Curry also misses a tackle. Good job of running after the catch, getting those vital yak. You know what I'm saying, right? Yards after the catch.
Yes, I do. McMullen lost some confidence late in the season, dropped some balls. You see, had a great start to the season, struggled towards the end, but is still their leading receiver. Here's Ellis, and that time he overthrew Kevin Coffey on the other side of the field. Bring up a 2nd down and 10 following the incomplete pass.
Kevin Coffey, number 88, 6'4", about 210 pounds. 2 years ago, Steve, I did a Virginia game, and during that season, he averaged nearly 26 yards per catch. And I just thought to myself, this guy is really going to be a star. But it never quite came to fruition as a variety of injuries and the fact that his foot speed is limited. But again, every time I hear that about the foot speed in the 40 times, I keep looking at guys like Chris Carter, Jerry Rice. It's not that bad.
Handoff up the middle. It's Womack for 2 yards. Kendrell Bell stuffing the middle, making the stop for the Bulldogs.
I say not that vital. Obviously, you want a guy that can run 4.4, but there are other ways to do it. And of course, Kendrell Bell in the middle, number 37, is an absolute stud. Somebody that has a chance at the next level. Once again, I'm always interested in numbers. 37. Doak Walker, Lester Hayes. This guy hits. He arrives, as they say, in a bad mood.
Bell, the coaching staff tells us, the most active of their defensive players, the 2nd leading tackler on the team. 3rd down and 7. Here's Ellis. Has some time. Now buys some more. Now he's going to take off. Here's Ellis, and he is pounded down to the turf at the 28-yard line. Jamie Henderson and Tony Gilbert combined to knock Ellis into the next day.
And he's still down. Steve, they ran some crossing routes underneath. He didn't have any alternatives when Georgia went to the zone. Now he takes off. Watch as he tucks underneath. He gets caught low and high. There's his feet are planted. Ooh, helmet to helmet. Oh, that was a collision.
Pointed out, Ellis has had his own injury woes this season. Injured his hamstring, was off to a great start and probably had his best first half of football against Maryland. Injured his hamstring after being picked off. He was chasing the Maryland player who was returning it, and the coaching staff says there was no chance he was going to catch him, but he showed you the good effort, and that's how he injured his hamstring and has been dealing with that ever since.
I don't think this is a hamstring injury here. I'm guessing that somebody's got the smelling salts and holding up how many fingers. Right there, he realizes that he doesn't have a choice. Now he has to cut to the outside. Maybe if Womack had gone after Henderson instead, that wouldn't have happened. But then again, it's the serendipity of football. And Henderson, right away when he hit him, got up and said, I'm not sure. Is he going to be okay? And that's nice. There's Henderson right there tapping him on the helmet. And Spinner's going to have to come in at least for one play.
Spinner saw action in 6 games this season. Matt Schaub is the 3rd stringer. He saw action in 3 games this year.
Now, Steve, this was interesting. As he went off, I noticed that he was favoring his right leg in addition to his head. And that's what they're looking at right now. They're looking at his right leg.
Continues to drizzle here at Aloha Stadium for the Jeep Oahu Bowl. Field goal attempt. Be 44-yard attempt.
It's gone.
And it's David Green booting it away, and it is no good. Green misses from 44 yards away. And that'll keep our game scoreless as the departing head coach George Welsh looks on.
Oregon's Joey Harrington faces the Longhorn duo of Sims and Applewhite. Texas versus Oregon, December 29th at 8:30 on ESPN.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2000 Jeep Oahu Bowl is presented by Jeep Grand Cherokee with legendary off-road capability and in part by Intel. Get the power of 3, the Intel Pentium 3 processor.
Well, it could be worse. I guess that could be snow, right? Coming down on their towel.
Yeah, notice they're not putting coats on. Shocker to you too, ladies. You're okay, I'm okay. It's all good.
Musa Smith, the lone setback. They send Terrence Edwards on in motion on 1st down and 10 out of the shotgun. Screen to Edwards with 1 blocker in front of him and 4 blue shirts in front of him. A bad combination that never works out for the offense. They'll bring up a 2nd and long.
Good job in the penetration and pursuit, rather, of the Virginia defense in that first series, particularly on that touchdown. I think they were lucky to get that back on the penalty because they didn't look terribly active. In that case, Spruill did a nice job of pursuing, making the play.
Let me ask you about the players' perspective. Everybody talking about George Welsh and Jim Donnan. Is that forgotten right now after the opening kickoff? Now it's just players playing the game?
I think there's no doubt about it. And I think the coaches were aware of that because every time we visited with them about it yesterday, they just kept negating it.
2nd and 6. Edwards off to a big start as he slithers through the defense for the gain and a first down. Let's go down to the field and Dave Ryan. Dave?
All right, Steve, as we saw, sprained right ankle from the starting quarterback for UVA, Dan Ellis. They're going to try to get him back in the game as soon as possible, but his backup, Bryson Spinner, is throwing and getting ready on the sideline. They're going to re-tape him and do the best they can to get him back in the lineup the next time Virginia has the ball. But he was so frustrated, guys, when he came off the field, he chucked his mouthpiece into the stands. We talked about his hamstring earlier injury that he's had this year.
Well, he mouthed right there to the camera that he said, "I'm okay," and he had a smile on his face, so hopefully that means he'll be back soon.
Give it to Gary now, cuts back the other way, and Gary is pounded. He ran right into Merrill Robertson along with Angelo Crowell.
That's so much fun. You see that number 44, he's so excited when he's got a guy dead to rights. Watch the excitement. You can just feel the body language. He slips and comes back. Now watch from the left of your screen. Watch number 44 come in. I got you. I got.
You see some slipping and sliding. Georgia's last game they played on AstroTurf was actually that game in the Georgia Dome against Virginia in the '98 Georgia Bowl. They're not used to it. Oh, great play to get it away by Phillips to Musa Smith. And he's close to another first down, just shy of midfield, gain of 12 on the play.
Donnie Green came in on the blitz. And you're right, Steve. That was a heads-up play because he actually didn't see him. He's looking to his right. He comes back quickly to the left and able to get the ball to Musa Smith. Of course, when you blitz in that situation, they blitz from both sides. That's actually the responsibility of Green. And so it's like you either got to get the guy or else we're going to complete a pass. In that case, Phillips was a winner.
So they get a lot of the yardage back after the loss. It brings up a 3rd down and 1. 7.5 to play. First quarter. The 2000 Jeep Oahu Bowl from Aloha Stadium with the Wahoos playing. I'm trying to say all that. They keep it on the ground and a good job there. Ahmad Hawkins the stop on Musa Smith, the 6-yard gain. Thweet had a chance to make the play and couldn't.
Early in the season, he had 152 yards against Ole Miss, and they thought a star was born. But as you pointed out, Steve, he does a terrific job of breaking tackles. When I asked Jim Donnan yesterday, I said, is the future great tailback of the Georgia Bulldogs on this roster? He said, yeah, number 32, Musa Smith.
The true freshman from Elliotsburg, Pennsylvania. On 1st and 10 out of the I-2 receivers to the right bottom of your screen.
Whoa.
Wow, how's that for a hit? It's Smith just wrecked by Ubrino Isabel, the team leader in tackles.
Dave Ryan talked about this young man and how explosive he was, and the 237-pounder comes, as they would say, unfettered. He was unencumbered by any blocker at all. Watch the left of your screen, number 18. He's got a head start. Pow! Boy, oh boy, when you're a linebacker, you love those shots.
Ubrino Isabel forces the loss of 4 yards on the play. A hit right at midfield. Leading tackler on the season. Leading tackler in 5 of the last 7 games.
128, that's a bunch.
The pass is complete. And it's Gary racing down the sideline before he is forced out at the 30-yard line. How about all the offense we've had tied by both squads with no points to show for it?
And it's interesting, Steve, we've been praising the interior, the front 7, about their ability to hit people. But for whatever reason, at least on the Virginia side, the secondary tackling has been very poor. This should not get the yardage that it does, but Spruill takes a whiff, and then downfield Jerton Evans allows himself to get blocked, enabling Georgia to get an additional 10 to 12 yards.
Phillips brings him up on 1st down and 10. And this time they'll hand it off to Musa Smith, pumping to the outside, and he's inside the 18-yard line. Shenard Newby bumped him out. Musa, they nickname Moose, and they chant Moose just like Darrell Johnston, the former great Cowboy.
Is it true that they had to call to New York to Madison Avenue to get to that? To get that unbelievable Moose.
I don't think that was copyrighted.
Here's the thing about number 32 that you got to like. While everybody else seems to be struggling on the AstroTurf, with the slips and trying to get used to it, it doesn't seem to bother him at all. He reminds me a little bit of Mercury Morris, the way he skates on that turf.
They'll give it to him again, and that time nothing doing. He's taken down in the backfield by Donnie Green.
Shows the speed of Donnie Green, because when you're the backside linebacker in that case, inevitably you don't block him thinking he can't get there, but he did.
The flag comes late.
Maybe he got there a little too quickly. Actually, the flag is in the secondary. So what are you doing after the game? You going to the North Shore, dude? No. I got reservations at the Chart House. Well, what about later? What about we go to the Hilton? Nah, I don't think so. The Hilton's not my thing.
You don't think that's what they're really talking about?
What do you think about the Ilokai? I'm there. Did you know that that's where they filmed Hawaii 5-0? Listen, I got to make this call. Hang on.
It's Jay Stricker.
There were 3 fouls on the play. Personal foul on the offense. Personal foul on the defense. Personal foul on the offense. All fouls happen during the dead ball. Therefore, they cancel by rule. Down will be 2.
Got all that, Todd?
2-1. All right.
The officials are from the Pac-10, by the way. Coming up on 5.5 to play here in the first quarter. Scoreless as Jim Donnan looks on. You have to wonder what thoughts will go through the mind of Donnan and Welsh on their respective sidelines throughout this football game.
Well, as you pointed out, one person in that case, that man right there, George Welsh, went of his own volition. Obviously, Jim Donnan did not. And so I'm thinking at the end of the game, Steve, there'll be very different feelings at the end of the game.
Win or lose.
Yes.
2nd down and 14. After the 3 personal fouls. From the shotgun, here's Phillips, steps up and throws, and it was nearly caught. LeBron Mitchell, the intended receiver, and the ball batted away. Tim Spruill was there on the coverage.
That's good coverage.
3rd long.
The ability to do that, this is one of the more difficult things for a cornerback. When the receiver is between the ball and yourself, watch the right of your screen. He has to come around his body, and he's able to do it. Now, see, this is the argument. Of course, you're sitting at home. If you're a Georgia fan, you're saying to yourself, come on, that's interference. If you're a Virginia fan, you say, hey, incidental contact.
Spruill had a tough year last year, really an off season for him. Has really bounced back nicely. It was all conference honorable mention this season. Here's Terrence Edwards. We told you we'd see him at quarterback. There he is out of the shotgun running the quarterback draw. Rather predictable as Edwards takes on a couple of blue jerseys. And he is bounced out at the 18-yard line. Evans made the stop. Thweet had a chance to get Edwards first and couldn't make the tackle.
Now you're becoming a football guy. Here the wide receiver comes in and plays quarterback, and you say very predictable, and you're exactly right. You know that he's not in there to fade back and throw, fade back, take 7 steps and throw the post. You're exactly right. They want to get the ball in his hands as often as possible. Arguably their best athlete on offense, 53 catches on the season.
Field goal attempt of 35 yards for Billy Bennett. Bennett puts it up and puts it through. Billy Bennett, the true freshman from Athens, Georgia, connects from 35 yards away. And the 24th ranked Bulldogs are on the board. They lead Virginia 3-0 in the first. The Jeep Oahu Bowl, you can see Dan Ellis. Dave Ryan, will we see him anymore?
Steve, doesn't look like it. Bad news. The trainers tell me a high right ankle sprain, unavailable for at least this series, probably the rest of this half. He's just got too much pain right now. They retape the ankle and try to let him run up and down the sideline a bit, throw a couple times, but unable to really go 100%, so he's out for now.
He has a very different look on his face earlier. Remember that when he was getting taped up, Steve? He had a smile, and it looked like he mouthed, I'm okay.
And that high ankle sprain, which has become the vogue injury this year, Todd.
Indigenous to the AstroTurf. As soon as you get on the AstroTurf, that's one of the things that causes it. But then again, obviously it happens on grass too, but there's a proclivity for it.
Did anybody have a high ankle sprain when you were playing? I mean, did you ever hear of it even? It was just an ankle sprain, right?
They said, hey, there's no bone sticking out. You can play.
Brett Kerouac is set to kick it away. Art Thomas and Tavon Mason will be back deep to receive for Virginia. Georgia, the 3-0 lead on the 35-yard field goal. And it will be Mason from the goal line. Trying the right side, now slips on that wet artificial turf. And he slips down at the 22-yard line. And that's where the Cavaliers will take over. We dip down from college football a little bit to tell you about little high school football. The Season, it's called. This Monday on ESPN. This show will focus on a Pennsylvania high school football team, the North Penn Knights, and what they feel is a year to win it all. And this documentary tracks the Knights, ranked 2nd in the state over a 3.5-month period, looks at the players' lives daily, inside the huddle, after practice, capturing all the emotions of high school football. We urge you to watch the season on Monday. Flags fly before they snap the ball.
So this is a football version of Hoop Dreams, right? Remember that? The documentary? They followed that kid for 4 years.
It would appear to be there. I've seen some of the promos for the season. They look wild.
Dead ball, offside by contact on the defense, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Were you a high school football player?
Did not. Is Pennsylvania the best high school football? I mean, they're well known for their great high school football in that state.
Ohio. I see. I got Hawaii on my mind. Ohio certainly, and Texas are pretty good states, but Pennsylvania has that reputation. Certainly top 3.
1st and 5. Bryson Spinner is the quarterback. And he is taken down by Terran Smith. Welcome to the football game, Bryson. Let's go down to Dave. Dave?
Well, Steve, we know George Welsh will have a lasting impression on Virginia football. Yesterday, some of his players took that literally. The entire starting offensive line and the tight ends got Welsh tattoos on their shoulders to keep his memory and the impact of his life and what he's done on their lives around forever. Well, not exactly. I found out before the game, guys, they're temporary tattoos, good for about 2 weeks.
We'll get another look at those. No, those are not little tattoos either. I don't care how temporary they are. They are large. We'll get another look when we can. Hand off to Womack, reversing the field, and winds up reversing himself from the line of scrimmage. It'll go for a loss as Will Witherspoon brought him down. There's a better look at it there. And I hope those are temporary.
Well, that's interesting. I wonder if to make it even, if the defensive line should have gone for Scotch tattoos. Oh, George Welsh. I'm sorry. I thought Welsh.
No.
Oh, my bad.
I got it.
Okay.
Frankly, it wasn't that funny.
Oh, tough crowd.
3rd and 11. Successive 3-yard losses. From the shotgun, here's Spinner. He's got 3 wide receivers, 2 to the left, bottom of the screen, and he's going to take off on the quarterback draw. And he won't come anywhere close to the first down as Kendrell Bell brought him down.
Maybe not, but he got a great block from his tailback, Antoine Womack. And, of course, as a tailback, usually you don't do much blocking, but he gets away downfield. Watch number 1. Watch the middle. Clearly you want it. Boy, he just knocks the legs out from under number 42. That's Tony Gilbert. And even though they didn't get the first down, I'm guessing that's a player we're going to see more often than not here because that's Spinner's specialty is his running.
Mike Abrams will punt it from his 12-yard line. Damian Gary is back deep in his 30 from Georgia. Here's Abrams without much of a rush, gets it off. And it is a nice high spiraling kick. And Gary signals early for the fair catch. And Georgia will take over now at the 18-yard line after the 55-yard punt. College football for you on Tuesday, January 2nd at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific over on ABC. It's the Nokia Sugar Bowl. Rex Grossman will lead Florida against Ken Dorsey and Miami. Florida 10-2, Miami 10-1. The Canes playing for a share of a national title from the Superdome in New Orleans. The Sugar Bowl.
Not exactly a terrific series for that young man. And of course, one of the things that he had a problem with was the snap from center. Steve, it could be a situation where that young man might be going out of the shotgun a lot simply because he's not familiar with the first-team center.
Here's Corey Phillips screening it out to the left side. For Edwards streaking down the sideline. He is forced out at about the 38-yard line by Ubrenel Isabel.
Once again, a little bit of poor tackling on the part of Virginia, but give Edwards credit for his athletic ability to cut upfield and break through the arms of Donnie Green. They list Edwards at 165 pounds. That's slight. He looks a little huskier than that, doesn't he?
His 53 catches this season is the second most for a sophomore ever at Georgia. Bryce Hunter had 76 catches as a sophomore back in '93. Edwards already 4 catches for 52 yards here today. Running and on the move, and that throw intended for Randy McMichael was nearly intercepted by William Clark, and Phillips might have gotten away with one.
I was just going to say that. Ooh, man, we're mind meld today. Yes, absolutely. Inevitably, when you throw off your back foot, look, he can't generate any power here. He's just about to get whacked. He floats the ball, just cannot get there quick enough. Of course, it's a nice play to bat the ball away, but maybe in another step, Clark could have caught it. A lot of AstroTurf in front of him.
The Virginia coaches talked about Phillips, and they said he moves to throw as opposed to moving to run. the way a Quincy Carter would, but as for the play calling, it would pretty much be the same. So here he is from the shotgun. And if he moves, it'll be to pass. And that pass had a man. It was just too high. He was looking for Damian Gary across the middle. Devon Simmons with him step for step.
And in fairness to Phillips, Steve, that's the sort of touch pass, timing pass that you can do easily if you've had a lot of repetitions. You have to remember that Phillips has not practiced that much with the first team throughout the season. I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but that's a very difficult throw, one you're used to if you're getting all the #1 reps.
Todd, always tough to judge two teams from a different conference, so a common opponent helps. And there you see, they both lost to Georgia Tech and Virginia in a bad way. They were shut out. Virginia was for the first time in 195 games dating back to '84. As that pass is incomplete. That pass looked like it was pretty much on the money, but Edwards could not hang on.
Well, if Edwards would have hung on to that, that would have been his 5th catch of the first quarter, then he would have been on pace to even up with Terrell Owens, a 20-catch pace. He wouldn't have had the first down anyway, so that's a good job by the secondary and linebacking core of the Cavaliers.
And Phillips has already thrown 16 passes, and he's on pace. Throw a lot of passes today. Jonathan Kilgo is back to punt it away. Arlen Harris only got into 3 games this season. Returns for bowl action. He is back deep for Virginia at the 21. And they fake it. They snap to the up back, and the pass is complete. And it's down the sideline. The big gain.
Big mistake, Steve.
Jermaine Phillips for Georgia makes the catch off the pass from Brett Milliken. 23 yards.
Watch Ahmad Hawkins right here. Ahmad Hawkins tries to fool him. He baits him into trying to throw it because he comes out from the wide receiver position. In baiting him, he didn't realize that the throw was going to be that good. You can see Hawkins come in trying to bait a throw and force the punter to do something goofy. Instead, it came up to the up back. He's able to deliver the ball on the money. Jim Donnan letting it all hang out in his last game.
Yeah, why not, right?
Sure.
So they pick up the first down off the fake punt. Now they pitch it back, and it's Edwards running around the right side. Edwards finds a seam. He's gone. No one's going to get him. Touchdown. Made it look easy. Terrence Edwards, 40 yards on the handoff.
John Thompson, the outside, Merrill Robertson, the defensive end, is put in a position where he can make a play. But instead of making the play, Edwards is able to juke him. Even if you don't make the play, Steve, you've got to slow the guy down on the reverse. Poor pursuit on the part of Virginia not getting there. They just did not get there in time. There's no reason that Edwards should have gone the distance there.
Here's Billy Bennett on to attempt the extra point. And Bennett able to boot it through. And so Georgia pulling out a couple of gadget plays in the Jim Donnan of a 10-0 lead.
Roch right here, number 44. Now he's got a chance to make the play. Now at least make him go to the outside. Make him do something. He's not slowed down. Now where are the other shirts? Where are the Wahoos? They're nowhere to be found. Poor job of pursuit on the part of Virginia there. Edwards had no reason to get a touchdown here. Look all the shirts here. You can see this coming a mile away. Now watch number 44. Make him do something. He's got to do something. Slow him down, trip him up, do something, but it doesn't happen. And the result, give Edwards credit. He takes it to the house.
Well, guys, great play early, and what a game early from Terrence Edwards. Todd talked about his brother Robert, who in a 1999 flag football game here in Oahu tore ligaments in his left knee coming off that great rookie season for the Patriots. He also had nerve damage, severed the main artery supplying blood to his leg. Now, Terrence and Robert are very close. They talk about 2 or 3 times a day, getting advice about how to handle yourself on and off the field, and in school as well, things like that. Good news is that Robert hopes to return to the Patriots in 2001. He's working with a specialist right now in New Orleans, plans to go back up to Boston and continue his rehab, and looks like Robert Edwards soon will come back. By the way, Terrence, guys, did not want to go anywhere near a beach when he was here in Oahu this time.
Certainly understandable. Thanks, Dave.
It's interesting, Steve, that New England, frankly, has not been the same.
Absolutely.
Since Edwards is out. They've been trying to find somebody to replace him. They just can't do it.
Here's Brett Kerouac to kick it away. And it's Art Thomas for Virginia. Nothing going right for the Cavaliers as they'll be forced to start from their own 5-yard line with their backup quarterback. Well, Georgia faced Virginia in the '95 Peach Bowl. That was the first meeting between the teams since '87. Virginia was holding on to a lead. Jason Ferguson recovered a fumble 10 yards. That tied the score at 27. So here's your ensuing kickoff. Demetrius Pete Allen won the game for Virginia. An 83-yard return and a Gatorade bath for head coach George Welsh as Virginia beat Georgia 34-27. Tiki Barber over 100 yards in that game.
Steve, Joel Myers and I broadcast that game, and that was an amazing swing. Those 70,000 were just absolutely on fire. The noise was just deafening. And then it was just as quiet. Fumble.
Fumble picked up by Georgia in the end zone. Let's see. They have it. Touchdown.
Kentrell Curry is the one who comes up with it.
Tyree Foreman was the ball carrier. Dontra Clements knocked it free, and then Curry comes up with it in the end zone. Nothing going right for George Welsh's team early.
Steve, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was Foreman's first carry of the game, and he was a little bit tentative there in the way he was running. I'm not trying to make excuses. He's the saddest guy in the stadium. But you're right. Everything seems to be going the way of the Bulldogs.
Here's Bennett on to attempt another extra point. And he is 2 for 2 now. And the Georgia Bulldogs lead George Welsh's Virginia Cavaliers now 17-0.
A little bit of tippy toe here. You can see Foreman. He cuts to the outside now. There's the man comes up. The helmet just gets on the ball. You got to give him credit. Clements had the helmet on the ball. Curry dribbles a little bit, does a little basketball thing, but finally is able to come up with it in the end zone. Touchdown Dogs. Now if he cuts inside here, but again, right there, not only the helmet, but the hand. Clements was all over that with the strip drill. Curry's the beneficiary.
Todd Curry is among the top special teams players in terms of tackles for Georgia, and he moves to the top of the class there after scoring the touchdown here in a bowl game. What a thrill that's got to be for the redshirt freshman.
I wanted to ask you something here on the kickoffs if you were aware of this. I was just curious. Kerouac, is he in relation to Jack the writer?
I do not know the answer to that question.
I know.
We'll have Marty look it up, though.
Just curious. I think it's spelled differently with an E and an I, but when you said that name last time, I was just wondering.
Marty says they're distant relatives.
Well, then that's gospel.
From the 35-yard line, there's a good look at Kerouac and the proper spelling. Just handles the kickoff duties for Georgia as Tavon Mason has all sorts of problems and slips down at the 4. What else? What next for Virginia? Well, this Wednesday, it's a special night over on ESPN2. The Toronto Maple Leafs take on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and it's not just any National Hockey League game. Number 66 is back. That's very good, Todd.
Thank you.
Mario Lemieux will make his return, and ESPN and ESPN2 will cover Mario's first 5 games since he comes back from his retirement. The game, unfortunately, is subject to blackout, but it's 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on Wednesday from the Igloo in Pittsburgh. It should be rocking. Here's Virginia. Tyree Foreman will get his second carry. He hangs on to it. Demetric Evans on the stop for Georgia.
This is a great opportunity, and I say great opportunity. Maybe this is not what he was looking for, but Bryson Spinner, now the quarterback, certainly they want to get a running game going. They want to get this, but of course Spinner now is put in the position to where he's got a chance to make some plays. And in a bowl game, you know, with the spotlight on him, he's got a chance to do some good things.
On 2nd down and 9, drop back to pass. He'll watch for the safety, take a pop and throw. And he overthrows his target, Tavon Mason, in a big way. You know, Spinner's got to be used to being put into difficult situations. He got his first start in Tallahassee against Florida State. That's not easy. He went 9 of 21 for 130 yards and 1 interception. Now here he finds himself down 17 in a bowl game against a very good Georgia team.
When we talked to George Welsh about him, they said the difficulty that he was having, of course, is the decision making. Well, every quarterback, that is the issue. That's what separates the good ones from the great ones, is the decision making. But you can only get better by playing.
On a 3rd down and 9, they line up out of the eye. The rain has stopped. The sunshine is back here in Hawaii. You'll be happy to know. Here's Spinner rolling right and
he's got it.
Man,
he's got it.
Open. The 40. It's Tavon Mason. Now a It's a foot race, and Mason is taken down at the 17-yard line. Just as the clouds disappear, they disappear over Virginia, and they come up with a big play.
It was a big play, and Jermaine Phillips tries to run him down. This is the thing that I didn't understand, Steve. Nobody said to me the spinner had a great arm, but he rolls to his right. The secondary for Georgia just lets him go. Take a look at the middle of the field. Here comes Mason on the post. He airs it out. This is a terrific, terrific catch. Now he makes the catch. He needs to weave a little bit here. Give Phillips credit. He's the one that makes the tackle after the 78-yard gain. The fact that Bryson Spinner displayed a tremendous arm on that last play. Watch the foot he throws off of. Look at this. It's off the right foot. You're supposed to be planted. You got the foot planted behind you, and then you deliver it. Instead, in the air, almost in midair, he throws the ball 55 yards. Well, boy, I tell you what, whoever is the new coach for Virginia is going to have a number of deep throws in their repertoire if number 3 is going to be the guy at the helm.
As we open up quarter number 2, Virginia does so in much better situation than they finished the quarter. It looked like he had some motion. And the tight end there as they go with 2 tight ends to open up the second quarter. Dan Ellis reduced to a spectator
role. Dead ball, false start on the offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That's just a matter of being lazy, and I know that George Welch can't be very happy about that, especially after you got a big play. And that's too bad it was the end of the quarter, too, because that stymies a little bit the enthusiasm and the momentum they had.
After the penalty, make it 1st and 15, push him back 5. Hand it off to Antoine Womack. Finds a seam, and he powers down to about the 14-yard line. Cap Burnett made the tackle.
Naturally, everybody wants to compare Antoine Womack to Thomas Jones, their 1,700-yard rusher for last year and their first-round pick for the Arizona Cardinals. When I asked George Welch about that, he pointed out that Womack might be a little bit stronger and might be a little bit faster up the field in terms of straight-ahead speed, but he doesn't quite have the lateral ability or the ability to catch out of the backfield. Nonetheless, look for about a 1,500-yard season from number 1 in the year 2000.
3 receivers, quick screen out to the right. Pass is complete to Demetrius Dotson, and he turns the corner. Touchdown! And back behind the play, there's some pushing and shoving there as like Womack was involved.
I tell you what, Womack is hitting some people, but Billy McMullen is the guy that really makes that play, and that's why he gets the congratulations from Dotson. Watch the left of your screen as the throw is made. McMullen is the guy that makes the key block. Gets him to the outside. He outruns Phillips, but there he is. There's McMullen pinning the corner, and as a result, Dotson able to get to the outside and get a much-needed touchdown for the Wahoos.
That's Dotson's only his second touchdown of the season. He was the second leading receiver. It's a 14-yard run for the score around the end. 5 plays, 97 yards. Of course, the big 78-yard play. And now David Green comes on to hit the extra point. We've got ourselves a football game.
Well, again, we talked about the fact that Bryson Spinner would have an opportunity to do some good things. And right away there, Steve, he's 2 for 2 for 90-plus yards in the last 2 plays. And again, great job downfield of blocking by the Virginia Cavaliers.
Dave, what do you have?
Well, Steve and Todd, this guy's a lot happier now that Virginia's on the board. Terry Holland, athletic director at UVA. Terry, can you describe the impact that George Welch had on college football and the University of Virginia in his time there?
Well, you know, you have to have been there before he came to really appreciate it, and I was. I saw what Coach Welch did, put a great staff together, went hard after the recruits, but did it in a really quality way, graduated his players, did everything you would want a college coach to do, and he won football games, and he won them big time. And the consistency we've shown for this last 13 years is truly something special.
Right in the midst of recruiting, you got rumors swirling around, reports about who the successor is going to be. Can you give us an update on your search?
Well, actually, you know, we're right at the same spot we were. We've gone over the candidates the first time. We're going to go back and visit with them a little bit, find out what kind of staff they could put together. We expect to be done in early January, but there's been no offer. All the candidates are still alive at this particular time, and we haven't been commenting on any particular candidate.
Is Tom O'Brien a candidate from BC?
Well, you know, we haven't been commenting on any candidates.
All right, well, thanks so much for joining us.
Very good.
Okay, there's Terry Holland, guys.
All right, Dave, thanks very much. Of course, O'Brien is here. He's here with Boston College, and they'll take on Arizona State tomorrow in the Aloha Bowl.
And why not consider that gentleman right there? Why not consider Jim Donnan?
Just switch sidelines.
We've documented what he's done. I mean, the guy obviously can coach some football. You don't win 100 games in around 11 years and not be able to coach football. I don't care what level you're at.
Numbers from quarter number 1. Anything stand out to you?
Yeah, right here. You got those 104 yards. Of course, 78 of that came on one play.
On first down and 10 after the Virginia score, Georgia right back to it. They hook up with Randy McMichael, the tight end. From Corey Phillips, Devon Simmons brought him down.
We're talking about the seam route that he threw earlier to the wide receiver and overthrew him. Same type of route, except for this is a little bit shorter. Only requires taking the snap and throwing the ball about 8 yards. He does a nice job of getting the ball to McMichael where he can get up the field and get the first down.
5 receivers in the pattern now for Georgia. Check that, make it 4. With Milliken sliding out, and they pass to Darrell Robinson, his first reception of the game, and he is bumped out at the 40-yard line.
You know what Virginia needs, Steve, on these short passes? They need somebody to make a big hit. And when I say a big hit, I mean something that'll change somebody's mind. They keep throwing out into the flat in these short passes. There's always been a missed tackle. Every single time the first guy is missed. They need somebody to whack a wide receiver or whack the tight end, something to get them going defensively.
Georgia leading 17-7, 17-0 lead, and Virginia scoring the last touchdown. And on second down and 6, here come the Bulldogs. There is Terrence Edwards out of the shotgun, and he takes off again. Edwards cuts it up at the 40. Cuts it inside now, reversing field. And Virginia's got the angle on him. Can't bring him down yet. What a run by Terrence Edwards. Newby finally brought him down.
It's the very thing we were talking about, Steve. Just absolutely atrocious tackling on the part of the Virginia Cavaliers in the secondary. Once he cuts to the outside, this should be about a 10 or 15-yard game, but instead Edwards cuts to the middle of the field, makes it a huge game. Dave Ryan was right. It has turned into the Terrence Edwards show. You got to know that if he's a quarterback, he's going to run, come up, get 8 in the box. He cuts to the outside. Now watch the poor tackling downfield where he could have been had. Right there's 1, there's 2. Cuts back against the grain right there. He should go down there, but instead he's able to cut back against Hawkins, spin off of him before he's dropped inside the 5.
Corey Phillips back in, and Corey Phillips handing off to Veron Hayes for the touchdown for Georgia. His second touchdown of the season for Hayes, the junior out of the Bronx, New York.
Well, that takes away the momentum that Virginia had with their score. You have a big play. The last thing you can afford to do is give up a big play, and that's exactly what happened for the Cavs.
Billy Bennett on to try an extra point. He's already 2 for 2. Snap and the place good, and Bennett is good as well.
Well, Steve, one of the things that I would have anticipated is that Georgia would have had some rushing yards, but I would have thought Musa Smith would be the guy over the 100. Instead, it's Edwards.
Todd Christensen, Dave Ryan from the Jeep Oahu Bowl in Honolulu, Hawaii. Georgia goes 80 yards in 4 plays in 1:07. Capped off by the Veron Hayes touchdown run. Taking the momentum away right after Virginia had marched down the field to score a touchdown and make it a 17-7 game. Brett Kerouac puts it in the air, and the Wahoos will get another chance with the football. It's Tavon Mason who had the big reception leading into the touchdown. And they'll start, Virginia will, 1st and 10 from their own 20. Of course, Georgia out of the mighty, mighty SEC. They say maybe not so strong up top, but top to bottom, you get 9 teams. That is a new record, 9 SEC teams in bowl competition.
Aren't there some conferences that don't even have 9 teams, right?
That's a good point, yeah.
That's really impressive. You know what? I'm one to make bold predictions, so I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Yeah.
I think Edwards has a leg up on the game MVP.
Really? You're wild. You're crazy. Kind of nutty. We'll see next time he steps on the field. For now, Virginia has it with Bryson Spinner, the backup quarterback, and Spinner throws the ball incomplete, so he won't be making much of a friendship with Patrick Washington, who was hung out a bit as Will Witherspoon came over to clean him up.
Give credit to Washington for hanging on to the ball. The ball is thrown behind him, as you point out. He does hang him up, but he's able to hang on to it. And with each catch, you got to know that Spinner's getting some confidence.
Again, Spinner saw action in 6 games this season filling in for Dan Ellis. Got a start against Florida State in a loss. Got a start in the final home game and a win against North Carolina State. And in that one, had a 61-yard run. This time to let somebody else do the running. It's Antoine Womack. That 61-yard run that Spinner had in the home finale against North Carolina State was the longest by a Virginia quarterback since Bob Davis back in 1964.
Steve, that's only the 6th carry for Womack, and I'm really surprised at that. Coming in, he was their big offensive gun. I would have thought he'd had at least a dozen by now, but they're trying to be balanced, and of course, down 17 points, they can't abandon the running game necessarily, but they got to get the ball in his hands a few more times.
Womack just 6 carries for 33 yards. 4 receivers in the pattern. And Spinner completes to Demetrius Dotson. Kentrell Curry brought him down.
Great job by Dotson as he sets down in the dead spot in the zone right in the middle of the field. He doesn't run into any of the defenders, sits there, gives his quarterback a chance to throw between the 2 linebackers and gets the first down.
From the 33-yard line. Spinner sends the man in motion off the play action, rolling to his right. He's got some green if he wants it and looks to take off. Breaks 1 tackle and is knocked out at the 40-yard line.
It's a good job by the Georgia defense. The misdirection that everybody has in their playbook, he pulls off. But instead of letting the tight ends run free or the wide receivers on the crossing patterns, Georgia is right with it, and that forces Spinner to cut up the field, albeit he did get a couple of yards.
Chris Clemens had a shot at him, the true freshman from Griffin, Georgia. Slowed him down anyway.
Clemens is replacing Boss Bailey, their honors linebacker, out with the year with a knee injury.
Handoff to Womack.
Wow.
And he is wrestled down, although it took some doing.
I was going to say, that was some leg strength.
Terrence Smith finally brought him down.
You young running backs at home, this is what they talk about when they say keep your legs churning.
Smith put all 245 on top of him.
It didn't matter. I'm guessing Womack's probably about a 500-pound squat guy. I thought he got the first down. A little bit short on the mark.
Here comes the chain gang to get the official measurement and see just how close, or if in fact they already have the first down. Good look at the Virginia symbol on the football there.
It's cross sabers. That's a cool look.
There better be a Georgia symbol on the other side, don't you think?
Well, when they have the ball. They get their own ball. There'll be a picture of Uga on that ball. You don't think?
August 6th, by the way, we understand did not make the trip. Rather disappointing.
Well, but you know what? Dogs want to stay home for Christmas. It's understandable.
Brings up a 3rd and inches and brings up Dave Ryan.
Well, Steve, as you said, something very distinctive missing from the sidelines today. No Uga mascot for Georgia. Uga 6, the solid white English Bulldog at every UGA game, is not here. Couldn't make the long trip because of health reasons, and the animal quarantine in Hawaii, guys, is very complex. Takes 90 days to clear him, so they couldn't bring him.
Did not know that, Dave. That's good stuff right there. Spinner trying to spin free for the inches and should have it. And there's the closest thing to August 6, and it's not all that close. August 6 is 55 pounds, and I would say that Bulldog is larger than 55 pounds. There you see Uga through the years. Todd, take us through this. This is right up your alley.
Well,
I know. Being a real football guy, you love talking mascots.
I think Uga 4 would probably be my favorite because he was there during the tenure of Herschel Walker and the highest winning percentage at 713 when they won. Okay, you're a beauty.
All right, here we go now. They give him the first down at the proper spot. Nice touch there by Spinner to Womack, who's hit hard by Tony Gilbert and taken down.
Womack couldn't decide. I remember a great line somebody once said about sometimes your mind writes checks that your body can't cash, and he's patting himself on the chest with that reality. He didn't know whether to turn around and head straight upfield or cut to the outside, and the result he didn't either. He stumbled a little bit and went backwards.
See the numbers on Womack, the 33rd Virginia back all-time to rush for 1,000 yards in a season. He's 56 yards shy of becoming only the 14th Cavalier running back to ever have 2,000 yards rushing in a career. He'll get that easily. This time it's Foreman who had the costly fumble in the first quarter that was recovered in the end zone for a Georgia touchdown. He hangs on to that one.
Georgia stiffening here near midfield. Coming into this game, Georgia was giving up around 130 yards per game rushing. Their defense has vastly improved over last year. You got to give a lot of credit to Gary Gibbs, their defensive coordinator, who Jim Donnan was able to talk into coming back to coaching. There he is. I'll tell you what, he looks good for 48. Remember I said that yesterday? He's done just a tremendous job with these young people. He deferred credit. I thought a lot of credit to him.
Movement on the line there. You know, Gibbs was, Todd, very nearly the head coach of Georgia for this football game. When it was first announced that Donnan was not going to be allowed to coach this game, Gibbs was going to be the interim coach, and we asked him, hey, would you have done it? He said, yeah, I would have had to. I'm contractually obligated. And he actually went through a similar situation at Oklahoma.
Dead ball, ball start.
The reason I'm circling this and putting the check is you'll notice that Gary Gibbs has nothing to do with the other Hawaiian shirts that everybody's wearing. Evidently that wasn't his style.
Separating himself from the crowd.
Well, that or maybe it wasn't comfortable. He prefers cotton to polyester. I don't know.
You look at the coaching booths and you'll see the assistants on both teams tonight. All of them have to be wondering about next year.
Yep.
Is there a job for them at their current school, or will they be headed elsewhere, or will they be out of a job for a year or two? Brings up a 3rd down and 12 now. Here's Spinner. Steps up. Great protection. Gets around one Bulldog defender. Breaks a couple tackles across midfield and very close to a first down. Adrian Hollingshed finally took him down. But he looks like he'll just be shy, Todd, of the marker after the gain of 11.
How frustrating, though, for the Georgia defense. They do a great job in the secondary. They shut down the receivers when you have the 6'2", 225-pounder. Here we are at midfield. They're down 17. See, I think they're going for it here. Take a look at the time that he has here. He's got a good 5 seconds to survey the field. Now he's able to break a tackle, cut up, and show some tremendous speed.
Todd, some missed tackles there. Last night they did a special sports center on fundamentals, and the NFL part was about the lost art of wrapping up and tackling. We're seeing some tackling problems today as they're set to go for it on 4th down and 1 from the 46. And they hand it off to Foreman. There is a flag down. Foreman would have enough for the first down, but we'll see what about the marker.
The referee is the one that makes the call, and I think what he saw is that Foreman, in his motion, was moving forward. You know, coming back to the idea that you were talking about in terms of the fundamentals and tackling, I thought it interesting. Mark Malone pointed out that you guys at Sports Center are part of the problem.
Illegal shift on the offense. 5-yard penalty, previous spot, still 4th down.
And what I mean by that is that too many of the young people now want to make the big hit. Take a look as Foreman comes up. Is he going forward? Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
We at Sports Center are blamed for the dunks in the NBA as well. No one wants to practice their outside shooting.
That's right.
Because it's the 360 tomahawk that gets you on Sports Center.
Everybody's swinging from their heels because they want a home run.
So after the penalty, they are forced into a punting situation. Here's Mike Abrams to punt it away. And it's Damian Gary who will make the fair catch at the 18-yard line, and that's where the Bulldogs will take over. Georgia already leading 24-7, looking for more.
Second quarter, Georgia looking good over Virginia in the Jeep Oahu Bowl from Aloha Stadium. Dave Ryan on the sidelines, joined by Georgia Athletic Director Vince Dooley. Coach, it looks like another win for Georgia, and Jim Donnan is heading out on a good note. For those who aren't that close to the program, why isn't he coming back as coach?
Well, the decision was made to make a change in the leadership. And while that's very painful, we think it's the right decision. And I do hope that Jim Donnan will go out on a win. You can't say that right now because if you go back and trace the history of these games with Virginia in the bowl game, Georgia's come back and won one when they were totally out of it, down 21-0. In any event, it would be a good way to send Coach Donnan off, and it looks pretty good right now as backs running down the field.
Coach, how has the loss of Coach Donnan affected recruiting right in the middle of that, and him coaching the bowl game as well? So it kind of delays your new man for a couple of more weeks.
I think it puts things on hold a little bit, but I think that for the most part, all of the recruits that we've talked to, they understand. They've been patient. They're going to wait to see who the next coach is and give him an opportunity. We still have recruiting visits in January and early February, and most all of them have agreed to go ahead and continue with their commitments to come and make those official visits.
What is the timeline on the new coach?
Well, we'd like to have a new coach by January the 1st, and we'd like to be a little bit optimistic and hope that we can realize that goal. It looks good right now anyway.
Vince, thanks.
Thank you.
Terrence Edwards again out of the quarterback position. That time he was throwing and nearly picked off. That's the third time in the game already. Edwards is lined up as the quarterback out of the shotgun. The first 2 times he took off. That time he was trying to go to Randy McMichael, and Tim Spruill almost picked it clean.
Saw the smile on his face. He felt pretty good about himself there, despite the fact that you're right, it was almost picked off. But Edwards is going to stay at quarterback.
Edwards has 2 career rushing touchdowns, Todd. Both have come in bowl games. Today he had the 40-yard touchdown run. Last year against Purdue had a 74-yard run for a score in Georgia's 28-25 win in the Outback Bowl. Edwards on the ball carry there. Again from the quarterback position. Donnie Green brought him down. Just getting back to the Georgia situation, and Dave alluded to it, there was some thought that maybe this was a mistake even accepting the bowl bid, considering the current climate for Georgia.
Well, of course, you also have to realize, though, that Jim Donnan came in with all of his seniors some 5 years ago, and they wanted them to have a reward, and I think that's the reason why they did it. But you're right, it does put them back a little bit. It retards their progression in terms of inking recruits, because obviously they don't know who the next man at the helm is going to be.
Edwards, by the way, rushing today 4 times, 102 yards, and the 1 touchdown. Phillips is back in, and Phillips throws. Did he catch that ball?
Caught it, but he's going to be short.
Good catch by LeBron Mitchell. Byron Thweet prevented him, I think, from getting to the first down mark.
And Steve, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's Virginia's first 3 and out of the game.
Brings up a 4th and short. Jonathan Kilgo is set to punt to Arlen Harris. Harris missed the final 3 games of the season and a knee injury, and it swelled up on him once he returned. And he is back. They told us just watch for him for punt returning duties, and that was nearly blocked as Kilgo was just able to get it away. And we'll see where they mark it.
Angelo Crowell is the guy that laid out and almost got a piece of it. The younger brother of Jermaine, that great wide receiver here and now with the Detroit Lions. As a result, the Wahoos will have pretty good field position.
Where can you see Bruce?
Welcome back, everyone, to the Jeep Oahu Bowl. 24-7, Georgia leads. Just got my ballot in the mail. It's time to get those nominations in. Join us as we announce the nominees for the ESPY Awards. It'll be held February 12th. On Thursday, January 11th on ESPN at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. All the categories will be announced, including male and female athlete of the year, team of the year, et cetera, et cetera. Join us as we announce the nominees, for the upcoming ESPY Awards. And they reverse to Tavon Mason, trying to show off those good wheels, and he can't get to midfield. He's out at the 47-yard line. Hollingshead again made the stop.
I got to tell you, this is messed up, and the young man has a good attitude about it. But Steve, if I'm a senior, you know, wow, I get to go to Hawaii. Maybe this is the first time in his life he's been. I don't know. Senior in college, you get to go there, and after what, however many plays it was, 6 or 7, you're knocked out of the game. That's got to be frustrating. I really feel for that young man, and he looks like he has a pretty good attitude about it. But, boy, you want to go out on a high note, and this isn't it.
Missed his home finale due to injury. Played in the last regular season game and was knocked out here in this final college football game as Womack is the ball carrier. Corey Bryant made the stop. In case you're just joining us and you wonder how they got the great field position to begin with, Kilgo's punt went for just 17 yards. And that's why Virginia is in excellent field position.
Maybe Crowell, we couldn't tell from our vantage point, but maybe Crowell just got a finger on it.
Give the punter the benefit of the doubt. Wow, and he's not even a former tight end. That's amazing.
No, come on, I'm a special teams guy.
3rd and 3 upcoming. 4.5 to play here in the first half. Georgia had a 17-0 lead. Virginia scored to make it 17-7. And Georgia's added another score. Send the man in motion. Here's Spinner out of the shotgun. All sorts of time. Throws it out in the flat.
Nice
Bit low for Womack, who took it off the turf. But because it took so much time for him to get to it, that allowed 5 white shirts to make the stop.
And that's the other thing, too. You're exactly right. Not only took time to get out there, but he throws it low and throws it behind him. And as a result, in having to reach down and go get it, I'm thinking that in this situation, Steve, that if he'd have gotten 2 yards, maybe they would have gone for it. But he actually lost a little bit of yardage there, and the result is they're going to have to punt. As a young quarterback, that's one of the things you have to learn. It's not that difficult to throw that loop route, but you got to lead the guy to it, not throw it behind him.
Damian Gary is back deep for Georgia at the 10. Mike Abrams to punt it away for Virginia from the 35 and boots it into the air. Takes a bounce, and Virginia will down it inside the 15-yard line. So Georgia takes over deep in their own territory. They've got the ball and the lead after a 38-yard punt. In Hawaii, you look at that, and I don't know, I think about ice hockey. Yeah, the Penguins and the Maple Leafs, Wednesday night, 7 Eastern, right here on ESPN. It's not just any Leafs-Pens game. It's the return of Mario Lemieux. You'll see his first 5 games. I see. Number 66 is back on the ice. Number 99 is the owner of the Coyotes.
There you go. Sweet.
This game is subject to blackout. We'll have his first 5 games of his return on ESPN or ESPN2. Mario Lemieux back with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Wait. Isn't number 33, isn't that Patrick Roy?
Something like that, yes. Here's a chance as they open up with the run and they get back to Musa Smith. Musa Smith, we haven't seen much of him. Jerton Evans cut him down. 3:24 to play here in the second quarter. We welcome you to the Jeep Oahu Bowl. 24th ranked Georgia taking on Virginia. And the Bulldogs enjoying a 24-7 lead. Georgia had a 17-0 first quarter lead. And have held their status here late in the first half. Smith again the ball carrier. Kroll made the stop for Virginia. And the final game for the 2 respective coaches at their 2 schools. Again, George Welsh going out the way he wanted to. Says the game has just changed, and the coaching, there are just too many responsibilities. The good old days he talked about, it was just coaching football and recruiting. It's totally different now.
Absolutely. Lunches and fundraisers, all of those things. And those are the things that, as you pointed out, we said, what are you not going to miss? And those are the things that
Darrell Robinson takes the screen. Instead of going north and south, he cuts it across the field and can't turn the corner. And he is bumped out at the 31-yard line by Byron Thweet.
Good hustle on the part of Thweet. Once again, missed tackle in the backfield. Spruill couldn't get him. But Thweet shows great speed. Number 32 for Virginia, Byron Thweet. We talked about, is he their best linebacker? And they said he is. And I asked Rick Lance, defensive coordinator, how do you compare him to Sharper and Ferrier, your former great linebackers now in the pros? And he said he's got a chance to be like them. He's just not quite as physical. As we see Rick Lance, defensive coordinator for the Virginia Cavaliers.
Thweet making his 47th career start, Todd. Only the 5th linebacker in Virginia history to be a 4-year starter. That pass across the middle is complete to LeBron Mitchell, who's really come on. Devon Simmons wrapped him up and brought him down. Good fundamental tackle once he got to him. There is a flag on the play way back at about the 21-yard line.
He's going to be roughing the passer. They're going to tack on another 15 yards. Virginia opted to go with the blitz, which they don't do too often because they don't want to have their corners in man-for-man coverage. They came with the blitz. Georgia picks it up. They get the ball downfield as we see the roughing the passer.
Roughing the passer on the defense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down.
Cavaliers are trying to just get some kind of pressure. Keep in mind they're without Lubomir Stamenic, who was their team leader in sacks. He's out with a sprained knee.
What's left of your screen? Here comes 7 blue shirts. Georgia does a great job of picking it up, and right there at the end, there's a, oh boy, I tell you what is that about? That's terrible. Is that Isabel? He just bumped him in the shoulder. How is that roughing the passer? Maybe Jack Lambert was right. You know, the thing about quarterbacks and dresses.
Put a dress
and
on
skirts.
him.
What's up?
On first down and 10, off the play action, screen out to the right, needing a block, and getting half a block was Terrence Edwards, and couldn't make anything out of that. Jerton Evans finally bumped him out.
Sweet was able to slow him down that time, and again, that's a play that's been so effective for them early in the first quarter, and why not? They're not going to make the tackles, keep going to it.
Now, Virginia played a role in giving Georgia the nickname Bulldogs. In 1920, Georgia, the defense, stopped Virginia 2 times inside the 5-yard line, and a guy named Cliff Wheatley from the Atlanta Constitutional Journal wrote they bulldogged them. They'd been known as the Wildcats, and since then, they became the Georgia Bulldogs. By the way, that was a 0-0 tie, Todd.
I can't believe that. I wrote that down. I was going to use that one. Oh.
You're stealing my stuff.
That's a great story.
33
no,
yards.
That's a great story.
Just an interesting tie between these two schools that don't see each other too often. Damian Gary on the receiving end. Donnie Green brought him down. Coming up, we'll have the halftime report. Rich Eisen will be in the studio after the usual hectic Sunday with NFL highlights from Week 17, and the NFL playoff picture has become an awful lot clearer.
So what would have happened if the Georgia defense would have snaked them or a mosquito bit them? What then?
The mosquitoes for all these years. Not nearly as threatening, though, as Bulldogs. No. Here's Phillips throwing, and he intercepted. Picked off by Darrell Sanders, put it right at him, and the junior from Callaway, Maryland, comes up with the pick, his first interception.
Now watch the quarterback, Phillips, in this case, for whatever reason, he only has eyes for one receiver, and he looks right at him. For whatever reason, he just did not see number 94 right here at the bottom of your screen. He steps back. Phillips, look at this. Hey, catch this. It looks like he did it on purpose, didn't it? Looked like... For whatever reason, he just absolutely did not see him. And there's a gift interception for number 94, Darrell Sanders.
Sanders got the team award for self-sacrifice, dedication, and enthusiasm throughout the regular season. After missing all of last season, he comes up with the interception there.
He gave up his pass rush to get the pick.
So Virginia will see what they can do with the football. Tyree Foreman on the screen. As we are in the final minute and a half of the first half, with Georgia leading 24-7. A score here would really be big for Virginia heading into the locker room.
That's a good play by Tony Gilbert, who knifes in and drops. The screenplay looked like it might have had a shot. Instead, Gilbert is able to weave his way through the blockers and drop him for only a 2-yard gain.
Here's Spinner again under pressure and firing, tipped ball in and out of the hands of Kevin Coffey.
That's a catchable ball. That's one they needed there because they could have got the ball to midfield with 39 seconds remaining. Call a timeout and edge forward to get into field goal position. Don't forget, Steve, David Green, their kicker, heading into the game. Now he's 11 for 16, and his longest is 48 yards, and he did that twice. And just based on watching his kickoffs, you know, the number of touchbacks that he's had today, he's got a leg. So they've got a chance here if they can get another 25 or 30 yards.
Third down and 8. Virginia has all 3 timeouts left. Here's Spinner. Hit as he throws. Looked like his arm was going forward.
Good call, Steve.
And that would be the indication, go as an incomplete pass. Charles Grant was there.
Once again, Georgia does a nice job with the pass rush. And what I mean by that, not to be gratuitous, because obviously it's a nice job because he got the sack, is that they surrounded him. They didn't give him a chance to break contain. And so when the coverage was there and he starts to run, he only has one place to go, and that's up the middle as he dances around. And the result is Grant, who overcame a serious knee injury. Remember Grant last year, Steve? He was a guy that played some fullback for Georgia, made a couple of runs, now exclusively a pass rushing defensive end at what they call the buck position.
Mike Abrams is back to punt it away. We hope to hear from Jim Donnan prior to halftime, so you want to stay tuned for that.
Nice kick.
Abrams puts it in the air. Gary will let it go, and it'll bounce into the end zone for a touchback.
63-yard punt.
63 yards. Mike Abrams, in terms of net punting, was #1 in the ACC, #5 in the nation. 42.6 average, tying the school record, highest average for a first-year punter. 19 seconds left. here in the first half, 24-7 in favor of Georgia.
63 is certainly going to help the average. You can see he goes nuts. He thought the thing was going to die at the 1 or 2 yard line. Jim Donnan certainly has to be pleased with the first half for his Bulldogs. And I'm sure he'll be content to run it out here. Up 24-7 with 19 seconds left.
And that should do it. The final play of the first half. A first half that was dominated by Jim Donnan and the Georgia Bulldogs. Let's go down to Dave Ryan with the coach. Dave?
All right, Steve, thanks a lot, Coach Donnan. What did you see on film that showed you Virginia would have no answer for Terrence Edwards today?
Well, we thought we could get Terrence on the corner a little bit, but our defense is playing really good except for the one big play. And offensively, we're moving the ball. You just got to go in and have a good time here at halftime and relax. And a little bit tired right now, I think, both teams. But it's been a good first half for Georgia.
Last time addressing your team as Georgia coach, what are you going to say in there?
Well, I'm not going to say anything about it being the last time. All I'm going to do is just come out here and understand we got to play the second half and get a W.
Thanks so much. Steve?
All right, Dave, thanks very much. So that's the situation here at halftime. Donnan and the Bulldogs ahead of Welsh and the Cavaliers 24-7. Welsh saw his starting quarterback Dan Ellis go down to injury and also had to watch Terrence Edwards take off on a huge run. It's a first half that is dominated by Georgia in every facet of the game. SportsCenter in game comes up after these messages.
Dave just was all going off in the locker room for the last time as head coach of the Bulldogs, and he was so focused in terms of, hey, just football all the way, not going to worry about this being my last half or anything like that. And his team has played focused in that first half.
They really have. I've been very impressed with the fact that they've been very, and as he pointed out, the defense has really risen to the occasion. Offensively, they probably want to do some other things, because you know how creative he is and has been in the past. But I think he also wants to contribute to his postseason record, which has been outstanding.
Now, we knew Terrence Edwards would be a factor, we said, with Quincy Carter out. He is the second-string quarterback. He's done it as quarterback, running back, and wide receiver today.
He's done absolutely everything that they've asked of him. 5 catches for 51 yards. He's had 4 carries for an astonishing 102 yards. And, of course, he also threw a pass. And I'm tempted to say a partridge in a pear tree since this is the Christmas season. But be that as it may, the fact is that Terrence Edwards has been tremendous. He has really put on a show, and Virginia has done nothing really to curtail him, or as they say in SportsCenter, even hope to contain him. The reality is the number 8 has been a star today. He's made his big brother proud.
He's got the best numbers. As for the team numbers,
well, of course, in the team numbers, you can see the dominance on both sides, rush and pass. Don't forget, in Virginia's case, 78 of those 118 yards passing came on one play. And so, as you pointed out, Steve, in every facet of the game, Georgia has been dominant.
All right, as for Virginia, what do they do to try to get back in this football game?
Well, I think that Spinner has a lot of confidence after that one play. Georgia has stunted him up to that point. But one thing that I'd like to see is Womack get involved a little bit more. Get him some balls, let him run the ball, but get him a couple of touch passes over the middle out in the flat. Get him to do something, get him more involved, because he is their best player. And Spinner is going to have to come up, obviously, with some other huge plays for them to get back in this contest.
Keep in mind, last time they got together, Virginia blew a 21-0 lead in the Peach Bowl in '98. Certainly Virginia hoping maybe the same fate would await Georgia. Georgia leads Virginia 24-7 at halftime. We'll have more halftime activities in the second half on the way. Back at the Jeep Oahu Bowl at Aloha Stadium, Honolulu, Hawaii. Minutes away from the start of third quarter action. Georgia leads Virginia 24-7, and Mele Kalikimaka. Kalikimaka. I got it right at the beginning. I was pressing my luck there. It means Merry Christmas, and that's what we wish for all of you as we begin Capital One Bowl Week, and it all continues for you on Wednesday at 4 Eastern. Cincinnati will take on Marshall. Should be a great football game and a great broadcast, play-by-play to be handled by Pam Ward. Make her the first ever woman to do play-by-play for a bowl game. So tune in to see Cincinnati and Marshall. And tune in to hear Pam as well on ESPN at 4 Eastern. And then on Wednesday night at 8 Eastern, beginning with college football tonight at 7:30 Eastern, it's East Carolina and Texas Tech Cliff Kingsbury, the quarterback for Texas Tech. And, of course, we know all about David Garrard and the kind of touch the big man has. Again, college football tonight starts it all off at 7:30 Eastern. Bowl week continuing on ESPN and ESPN2.
And speaking of big men at quarterback, there's the man who's out of this game, Quincy Carter. A lot of speculation, Steve, as to whether or not he will come back now that Jim Donnan is gone, if he'll come back for his senior year. Personally, I think he needs to, because he just had a very poor year his junior year. The 5 interceptions, as we mentioned, against South Carolina. Then he struggled. I think his touchdown interception was something like 6 to 10.
Correct, as usual.
If I'm not mistaken.
You're not.
And, of course, you see him with the cap. That's what he's most familiar with. Remember that he was an outfielder in pro baseball.
There was also some talk as to the reason he might not come back to Georgia is that he is very much linked with Jim Donnan in terms of some of the disappointments this season. Carter struggling, the team struggling down the stretch, losing 3 of their last 4, and that heading back to Athens for a senior season, maybe with a new coach, a new system, might be difficult for Carter.
Well, now, having said that, though, Jim Donnan made it a point to say that he was going to visit with some general managers in the NFL to see exactly where he might go. But, Steve, even with a brand new system, with the athletic ability of Quincy Carter, I'm thinking that he wants to go out on a high note, and he could save himself, you know, literally hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars if he has a big year, gets himself into the first round.
Let's go down to the field. Here's Dave.
All right, Steve, thanks so much. George Welsh, 28 years as a head coach of college football. Your last halftime speech. What kind of things do you say in there? What are the emotions you're experiencing now?
I had an assistant coach do it for me. He was much more emotional than I was. I think if we don't shoot ourselves in the foot so much, it's a closer football game. Georgia's playing better than us, but it should be a little bit closer if we don't we're making too many mistakes.
How important,
and
George?
We're not tackling well in the open field again. You know, that's happened to us before.
How important is it for you, George, to go out a winner today?
I'm not going to lose any sleep over it if I don't. I told the team that. You know, it's a football game first. I feel for the seniors that are playing their last game more than I do for myself. I've seen a lot.
Coach, you lost Dan Ellis. It looks like he's out for the game with the ankle.
Definitely out for the game. He's got a high ankle sprain. He can't move. And that's, you know, we put him back in the starting lineup a couple of weeks ago and gave him a lot more work. So, but those things happen.
Thanks for your time. Good luck.
Okay.
Coach Welch talked about missed tackles. Virginia missed 13 tackles in that first half. See what kind of second half they make out of it. We'll have the second half kickoff right after this. Just past 5:30 local time here in Honolulu. We welcome you back for the 3rd annual Jeep Oahu Bowl. Last year they had some 41,000 fans in attendance. And then again, the Bows were playing. Hawaii beat Oregon State 23-17. In '98, Air Force took out Washington 45-25 in front of 46,000 people. The first 2 years it was a doubleheader. Here they have split it, and tomorrow on ABC, Boston College will take on Arizona State. Interesting coaching developments in that one, but we'll save that for the ABC guys tomorrow. Second half is underway. Tavon Mason trying to give a spark to Virginia, and I don't think so. The Cavaliers will open 1st and 10 from their own 15. Reagan Torbert made the big special teams hit for Georgia.
A couple of times they've started inside the 20. That's a tribute to the special teams for Georgia, doing a great job in pursuit.
And if Virginia had a better second half in terms of points and offense, you feel better about the score right now for them. But second half has been their worst offensive half, and they're already down 24-7. But we'll see with Bryson Spinner under center. As you heard, Dan Ellis will not return for Virginia. And here's Spinner handing off to Antoine Womack. Trying the left side. There is a flag down on the play, and that's how we open up the second half. Will Witherspoon made the stop.
Once again with the illegal movement. I thought it was interesting what George Welsh said at halftime. It reminded me of the line of Marv Levy, which he's made famous. When they asked him if an upcoming game was a must-win, he said, there's no such a thing. He said, World War II. He said, that was a must-win.
On the offense, penalties declined. Second down.
You get the sense that
down will be 1.
Coach Welsh is very content content in his decision-making, content in the way his career has played out, and has no problem with the way things are ending up.
Well, you and I had visited with him on a number of occasions. We had done some Virginia games previously, and without a doubt, the last couple of days with him, he was the most relaxed, the most casual, very at peace with the decision.
Handoff, it's Womack again, breaks through a tackle. He'll be close to a first down, and it'll bring up a third down and short. He really was concerned, Todd, about his health. I mean, that was his statement throughout. All of a sudden, he felt more tired than normal. The stress factor. He went to the doctor to be checked out. He said his heart was fine, but that things were just too stressful. It was really taking his toll on him, and he always said he would get out before his health would start to deteriorate. He really said once he made the decision, he started feeling much better. So evidently the right decision. That's amazing.
That really is. It's just very impressive. And of course, that's what Terry Holland had pointed out, what he had done for the program.
Spinner hands it off to Tyree Foreman, and Foreman has the first down on the 3rd and 1, and he's out to the 34-yard line. You saw the winning numbers for Welsh there. The winning percentage actually doubled exactly. Before George Welsh at Virginia, they had a .305 winning percentage. Since he's taken over, 610.
Well, remember that he was an assistant coach under Joe Paterno, and the word was that when Joe Paterno was going to retire, the job was going to be George Welsh's. Well, Joe Paterno turned into the Energizer Bunny, and he just kept going and going and going. And the result is that, of course, he went to Virginia, and, of course, that's been a blessing for those in Charlottesville.
1st and 10 now from the 34. Spinner goes play action. And he's going to go down. Taken down by Richard Seymour, one of the outstanding defensive tackles for Georgia.
Talking about Richard Seymour and Stroud, two terrific players inside for Georgia. Seymour they're working on. Lawson is able to get past him, piggyback him. Shows how strong Spinner is. Held him up for a little bit.
Seymour, the All-American by a variety of organizations, including the prestigious Walter Camp. The 23rd Georgia player to get that honor in the 111 years of Walter Camp. Loss of 7 on that play, thanks to Seymour on the sack. He pitches out to the right side to Womack, and he is run out of bounds. And man, the Georgia defense starting the second half strong.
Excellent pursuit there, and of course, you have to ask yourself the question, that play action on first down. Was that a good decision, especially after they've been running the ball so effectively? Instead, they go with the option to the outside. 4 Georgia Bulldogs in pursuit. They're all over the play. Nothing but white shirts out there.
Brings up a 3rd down and 20. Another tough spot for the redshirt freshman quarterback, Bryson Spinner.
Going to have to hurry now as the play clock is ticking. Already down to 5.
Lines up under center, sends the man in motion, gets the play off, and swings it up. It's on the screen for Womack, and he barely gets back to the line of scrimmage, and he is pounded out of bounds.
Kendrell Bell. We were talking about how he arrives in a bad mood. Number 37 came over to knock him out, and give credit to the inside of Georgia's defense. Marcus Stroud was in pursuit behind him. So again, Gary Gibbs people are doing the job here.
Mike Abrams will come on to punt it away. Only 17 of his 65 punts in the regular season actually got returned even. Damian Gary is back, and Georgia will have great field position with Gary standing at his own 35. Finally, they snap it and get it away. It's a short kick. It bounces out of bounds, and Georgia will take over at the 34-yard line. Goes a 40-yard punt for Abrams. Georgia with the lead and the football here in the 3rd quarter. Capital One Bowl week continues, and not from Buffalo, New York. From Honolulu, Hawaii. Here we are, just beautiful here in paradise.
Those are some gnarly waves, dude. Yeah, he shot the curl. Yeah,
Spicoli, way to go.
Wow.
You can do everything else. Can you surf?
No.
Never tried it?
Oh, sure. I'm in Southern California.
And you can't do it?
No, it's like that old line about Clint Eastwood. Man's got to know his limitations.
That pass is incomplete. It was bounced to Damian Gary, Corey Phillips. Didn't know you had any limitations. That's good to know.
Every time I visit the islands, I always go to the North Shore and body surf a little bit. But unfortunately, I had a situation where I just got creamed by a wave, and let's just say I lost my shorts. It wasn't a good thing. And so since then, I've known my limitations.
I would agree with that. Not a good thing.
No,
you lose your shorts for anybody, quite frankly.
Wait a minute. Kathy, where are you? Help me out.
Here's Terrence Edwards back at quarterback. He'll option it this time to Milliken. Nothing doing there. He is swarmed over by the Oahu defense led by Byron Thweet.
That took too long. Poorly developed play, and the pursuit of Virginia was all over Milliken. He had no shot.
And Phillips will go back into the football game. Fourth time, I believe Edwards is lined up as the quarterback. One time passed it, 2 times running it, and that was the option.
Well, he saw it wasn't going to go anywhere, and he wanted to keep himself over 100 yards rushing. So he pitched the
Give it to the other guy.
Take the loss. That's right.
Nice. Good teamwork there. Brings up a 3rd down and 15. And here's Phillips after shotgun, screening it out to the right. And it's Milliken, and he was hit hard by Spruill. Put a good lick on him. And the Virginia defense really staying in this football game despite being down 24-7, trying to give their offense a chance.
I was corrected by the great Marty Aronoff. This is not their 2nd, but indeed their 3rd time going 3 and out. Spruill had missed a few tackles earlier. He goes low and just absolutely somersaults Milliken. Great job by number 21. Maybe that'll give a little juice to the Wahoo's offense.
Marty handling the statistics. Kim Anderson spotting for us here in the booth in Hawaii. Interesting how he chose to make this particular trip, huh?
What a surprise.
Arlen Harris will let it bounce. And Virginia will take over at the 22-yard line. Here's Dave Ryan. Dave.
All right, Steve, thanks a lot. Joined by Quincy Carter, the star Georgia quarterback, injured now. How's the thumb doing? And I guess how frustrating is it to be on the sidelines here and watch Corey Phillips take over?
Oh, well, it's frustrating not to be able to play the game that I love so much. But I know I'm in good hands with God. Right now, I'm just trying to work on the mobility of my thumb right now and try to get all my strength back.
What's your future have in store? Can you tell us what's going to happen next year? Will you return to Georgia or go pro?
I'm not sure right now. Like I said, and we said it before, and Merry Christmas to my mom, too. But like I said before, we're going to discuss this thing with sit down with me and my mom, my dad, and some good advisors and get some advice and go from there.
Does it hurt you because Jim Donnan leaves? You and he are together with your offense. He's the offensive coordinator. Would it be really hard with a new coach to have a new system for you?
Well, you know, that's came up, and there's some other factors that came up also. We just got to weigh them all and go from there.
All right, thanks a lot. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Quincy Carter started the first 6 games. In fact, it started 30 straight in his career. Then against Vanderbilt, he injured his shoulder. He missed the Kentucky game, which was a win. Then he came back against Florida in a loss, injured his thumb, and would miss the final 3 games. On 2nd down and short, send Dotson in motion. They hand it off to Womack as he tries to dive ahead to the left side of the line of scrimmage. Very close to the first down marker. Will Witherspoon plugged that hole.
Get a little something going. Get a first down, move the sticks, get this young man involved, Womack, get a couple of play action passes, get a drive here, get a 24-14, you never know.
10 minutes even left here in the 3rd quarter. Kind of strange, you know, to play in an empty stadium for these 2 teams, especially Georgia, between the hedges, used to playing in front of packed crowds every Saturday.
Well, again, that's one of the interesting things about bowl games. You never know how well you're going to play after the layoff, and obviously Georgia's playing better than Virginia.
Off the play action, here's Spinner to put it up, fires, and completes the pass to Billy Baber, the tight end, his first catch of the afternoon. And when we talk about the attendance here, that's not taking a shot at the faithful of Georgia or Virginia. It's a long way to travel. It's a very expensive plane ticket as well. And when you're talking about Virginia, they don't travel this far that often. In fact, of their 1,091 games all time, this is only the 12th game they've ever played west of the Mississippi River. Previous furthest they've ever gone was Seattle. So this is quite a road trip to Virginia. George Welsh. Antoine Womack, the ball carrier, and Cap Burnett made the stop.
What's up with you, Rand McNally boy? Come on. That was what you really dug up. Although, truthfully, that is pretty interesting. Because you got to figure that Charlottesville to here, what is that? It's got to be close to 5,000 miles, right?
I think it would be good distance. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Where's our stab man?
Can't get
where's
there.
The number?
Can't get there from here. Need a couple of flights.
I know you can't use the Madden Cruiser. You got to go someplace else.
On 3rd and 2 now. Here's Spinner throwing and completing to his tight end Baber, and it's good for the first down. Witherspoon brought him down, but got the necessary yardage to move the chains.
Keep doing it. Move the sticks. The only problem, of course, with this approach is it does take some time off the clock. Nonetheless, a little confidence builder for Spinner. 3-step drop, bides his time, gets it to the tight end who is anticipating a zone. He slowed down a little bit. If he'd have kept running, he'd had a few extra yards.
Including this game now, Baber, 17 of his 20 catches this season have been good for first downs. So he gets the first down there. Here's Spinner looking a little more confident, stepping up, had some running room if he wants it. Now he'll take off, show some good foot speed, and should have enough for another first down as he is knocked out at the 43 by Hollingshed.
What an advantage it is to be that mobile. Again, the coverage is excellent by Georgia in the secondary, and he can't decide what to do. He sees Tyree Foreman right in front of him. As you see the left of the screen, there's number 42. Maybe he delivers the ball at the last minute. He changes his mind. He avoids a tackler and gets to the outside and again moves the sticks. Saw him limping when he came back. I wonder if he collided with the bench or something. I couldn't see that at the end of the play, but I think he's all right.
Brings up a first down and 10. Across midfield into Georgia Bulldog territory. Draw play to Foreman. Lunging ahead with some second effort to the 40. Jermaine Phillips, the tackle.
One of the things that Georgia has to be careful of, and Gary Gibbs and his group, is that you're lulled into a little bit of a security here, and that is you're up 17. Sometimes you're not quite as aggressive. You don't hustle to the ball quite like you did maybe in the first half to build that 17-point lead. It appears here that they're in danger. Obviously, Virginia is down 17, but they need to assert themselves a little bit more here in this drive.
2nd and 7 from the 40. Patrick Washington checks in at the fullback position. And they fake the reverse, going to throw it. Foreman puts it in the air, and it is nearly intercepted. Jamie Henderson was on the coverage against Michael McGrew.
He had him, but he just couldn't get the ball out there. And inevitably, whenever you watch halfback passes in this case, you're just not quite sure if he's going to get there. I mentioned that I thought he was open, and he was. There's the fake. He has him open to the post, but he just can't deliver the ball. You can see it wobble and shorten a little bit, and really he's lucky that that one wasn't picked off.
Todd, that's Foreman's first incomplete pass of the season.
Wow.
He had completed a pass earlier for 22 yards. Coaching staff says Foreman knows everybody's plays, not just his own position's plays. He knows everybody's plays, almost like a coach out there on the field.
He might have, you know what? He
not 1 for 2 passes.
He might have been better off to slip that tackle-flying glove in his back pocket and hope nobody saw it.
On 3rd down and 7, Spinner back to throwing and back to completing to Baber. All of a sudden becomes a factor. Kentrell Curry makes the stop.
Same move as he did before. Comes down to the inside linebacker, cuts to the outside between the hashes, cuts back, breaks the tackle, and gets the first down. Gary Tranquil, offensive coordinator. Gary Tranquil, the offensive coordinator for Virginia. Pleasant conversation had with him yesterday. Very nice man. Formerly with the Cleveland Browns.
Quarterbacks coach. They actually coached Vinny Testaverde at one point. And Vinny had a tough afternoon today. Football is loose, and Foreman coughed it up. Remember, Foreman fumbled earlier that led to a Georgia touchdown. Let's see.
But that wasn't his fault. You can see there that Spinner falls down and just tries to get him the ball. In fact, the official might want to say that the quarterback was down. Was his knee down before he gets him the ball? Actually looked like it might have been. And, of course, he got it in his hands as opposed to the so-called breadbasket. Fortunately for him, he was able to recover it.
Brings up a 2nd and 13 after the loss. Under 6 to play here in the 3rd. The spinner, good protection, throws right to Georgia. Picked off by Will Witherspoon. Across midfield, had one man to beat, and he was taken out by Spinner, the quarterback. Poor choice there. Another turnover, and Georgia's got the football.
Had a zone coverage there, and the result was that he didn't get it over the top of the linebacker. In fact, it wasn't even close. Not unlike the Phillips throw. Watch, he's trying to get it here into the seam. Instead of getting into the seam to the receiver who's here, he throws it underneath right between the 4 and the 6. And Witherspoon certainly is excited, as so many times happens. The tackle is made by the original offender, that being the quarterback.
Witherspoon tied for 3rd on the team in tackles. Comes up with the big pick there. Milliken comes up with the football. So the 11-play drive, Virginia, arguably their best drive of the football game, got nothing to show for it at all except a 42-yard interception return. Bring up a 2nd down and 7. George said he wouldn't lose any sleep even if he lost this football game. This has got to bother him a little bit, this kind of showing for this game. One thing to lose, one to be competitive and losing the scoring. Phillips is taken down, and Virginia has it.
Wheat's got it.
Down the sideline, Byron.
He's got some people. He's going to go.
Got the angle. He's got a blocker. Let's see. 1 minute to get it. No. Touchdown. They play turnover football here, and Byron Wheat comes up with it. Larry Simmons knocked it free. And just the spark Virginia needed that keeps them in the game.
Well, they certainly hope so. This is a great pass rush, and Phillips at some point needed to fold it underneath. And this is a case where when you don't recover it, it turns out to be a good thing. The initial Virginia Cavalier who was on top of the ball wasn't able to get it. And as a result, I believe that was Simmons also, Steve. The ball popped out. The result is Thweet. And, of course, you know that the white shirts are all going in the other direction. Thweet picks it up and goes the distance.
Here's David Green on to attempt the extra point. And Green puts it through. And all of a sudden, with 4:46 to play here in the 3rd quarter, it's a 10-point game.
The offense couldn't get it done, and so the defense does. There's Simmons who drops him. He rolls over. Originally, it couldn't be picked up. He's saying to himself, why didn't I get that? It doesn't matter. The result is Thweet gets it. He's down the sidelines going the distance. Stanley not being able to get that turns out to be a blessing for the Cavaliers. Now down only 10.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2000 Jeep Oahu Bowl is brought to you by TiVo. TV your way.
Last time Virginia made it close, Georgia rallied back for a touchdown to open things up, and here the Cavaliers have cut the deficit to 10. We've still got just under 5 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. Here's Bruce Thornton. He'll take it out of the end zone for Georgia. And he is knocked out of bounds at the 18-yard line, and we'll see what the Georgia offense can do now.
And you mentioned about the scoring again. That's a good job by the special teams getting him out inside the 20. Watch at the end of the play. The fumble is forced. They're falling on top of it. Oh no, he didn't fall on top of it. It bounces out. Thweet comes up. Now remember, all the white shirts are going in the other direction. He cuts back. And the veritable phalanx of blockers is behind him to prevent any white shirts from getting to him. And at the last minute, dives in. Bruce Smith can't do anything with it. Thweet with a touchdown.
Down to Dave.
Stephen Todd, big change of emotion, as you can imagine, thanks to Byron Thweet on this Virginia sideline. They were hanging their heads a few moments ago after their own turnover. Now they got a lot of energy and a lot of positive feeling. It'll turn things around pretty quickly with a big play like that for a touchdown.
Musa Smith, the ball carrier there. Jerton Evans made the tackle.
Now, you pointed out, that was a very astute thing that you pointed out there, Steve, regarding the fact that after they had their big 78-yard play and then put it in the end zone, Georgia answered right back. This is where Virginia, if not 3 and out, certainly needs to stop Georgia, but that first down play was very big for Georgia.
Phillips from the shotgun on 2nd down and 5. Throws it back to Edwards now on the screen. That is snuffed out nicely by Ahmad Hawkins of Virginia.
That's a big play. That's a loss of considerable yardage. And remember, in the first half, they just said they're going to throw it out there and challenge these guys to make tackles. They didn't do it in the first half. As you pointed out, 13 missed tackles. Instead, this time Hawkins goes right for the legs. I got you. Listed at 165 pounds. He knows that he grabs the legs. He's not going anywhere.
Hawkins had 4 interceptions. He's the first cornerback to lead the team in picks, and Rondé Barber did it in '94. He makes the good stop there. On 3rd down, here's Phillips firing. Edwards wide open, makes the catch. Shinad Nubi makes the tackle, but not until Georgia has the first down.
Very impressed with his hands. We've already talked about his athletic ability. So many times you'll see receivers cradle this ball. I'm a fan of the cradle. Watch him extend his hands and hands catch it. Remember Lynn Swann was the Steelers? He used to jump high and he'd cradle the thing up by his shoulder pad. He would trap it. Instead, Edwards shows the good hands to extend it, make the catch, and get a big first down for the Dogs.
7th catch, 68 yards so far for Edwards. He's having himself a ball game. 1st and 10. Phillips fires and completes. He tries the other side of the field to LeBron Mitchell. Tim Spruill makes the stop. Our Morgan Stanley storyline, well-connected storyline. It's not just any storyline. There's Terrence Edwards, his total numbers. Byron Thweet trying to keep Virginia in the football game. And there you see Georgia, how they have struggled ever since the 17-minute mark.
As opposed to, that's Georgia's, or is that Uga the first?
I believe it's Georgia University. And so too are the Bulldogs. They cross midfield with Musa Smith, the true freshman. I did hear one fan from this crowd just say Moose. Did you hear that or not?
I did.
Was that audible? And that was the fan.
And it made him burst into tears. That's great. Well, if he's the tailback of the future, I'm thinking you want to give him some carries, but then again, you do have some senior runners and you want to get some opportunities, particularly Milliken, who was their leading rusher throughout the season, but ironically enough, Steve, with less than 400 yards.
As you said, that Milliken checks in, and they'll give it to him. Milliken breaks across the 45, and he's down to the 43 of Virginia.
For some reason, I've got this number fetish working today. You see number 39. Every time I think of a runner 39, you got to think of Zonka, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you jumped right up.
I would have had that one, sure.
That was good. Milliken not quite with that physique, but nonetheless somebody who did some good things for Georgia this year after the injuries to a number of runners. Milliken had 5.6 yards per carry and rushing for 375 yards this year.
Good things for Georgia, and he did some good things for a lot of other people. He won the SEC Community Service Award as well. That pass, not close to the intended receiver, Randy McMichael.
I neglected to mention also a number 39, the King, Hugh McElhenney.
The incomplete pass will bring up a 3rd down and 5.
Similar situation last time when Virginia came with a pass rush. I'm always fascinated by this for defensive coordinators. Do you want to go with the blitz, or do you think if people can protect? You've got a 2-deep zone, so my guess is they're going to count on them to protect.
From the shotgun, here's Phillips now on 3rd and 5, and throwing and completing. And it's good for the first down again to Randy McMichael. Gain of 8 on the play, and they needed 5.
Early in the game, McMichael was a vital part of the passing game for Georgia, and they got away from him a little bit. He runs it out. He's got man coverage. Does a nice job of getting his hands underneath the ball as the ball is thrown low. Slides through, and again, Donnie Green is a capable outside linebacker, but for most tight ends, he's got a linebacker on him. It's a mismatch.
McMichael was put on AP's All-SEC honorable mention team. Makes the grab there. Good for the first down. Final minute of play here in the 3rd. Georgia driving up by 10. Milliken, the ball carrier, and he slides down to the 30-yard line. Thweet made the stop.
Well, they must have been listening to you, Steve, because just as the big conversion there at 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 10, whatever it was, to Edwards, Georgia currently driving and answering right back after the turnover.
Look at Jim Donnan. Is it possible that he's really blocked it out totally? Every few minutes, you think there's a thought, I can't believe this is my last game on the Georgia sideline.
No doubt about it, because he, at least by the conversations we had had, it was true that he had put his heart and soul into Georgia. He was committed. He did everything to make the program better, and frankly, I think he did. I mean, you can see right there, just as you pointed out, very
intense. Very
intense.
much into the game. And Donnan has said over the years he's turned down some jobs. Even this year, had some feelers in terms of phone calls. And he remains very much in this football game. That'll do it. 3 quarters are complete. Donnan and Georgia lead by 10. Come on back to the 4th. Lead by 10. Come on back to the 4th. Todd Christensen, Dave Ryan, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to all, wherever you're watching ESPN. And the start of Capital One Bowl Week. 10-point game as we hit 4th quarter action. Todd, a frequent visitor to Hawaii, 5-time Pro Bowl?
Thank you, yes.
Played in this very stadium.
Yes, I did.
And you had some great games, too. I'm sure you did, didn't you? Must have had one. Caught a game-winning touchdown at a Pro Bowl.
Yes, I did, against John Elway. John Elway, not against, with. Ran right through Ronnie Lott.
Wait a second, a Bronco throwing to a Raider? Is that possible? That ball is batted up in the air, and Georgia fortunate. It hits the turf.
I have a vague recollection, but I believe it was January 28, 1980. Penetration by they come with the blitz. Penetration by the Virginia front 7. Able to get his hands up, Monsanto Pope. Now, isn't that ironic? You know, Monsanto? Aren't they the ones that manufacture AstroTurf?
Quite frankly, I'm not sure.
All right.
Well, I'll be with you, though. On 4th down and 5. And from this point of the football field, Georgia will go for it from the 30 instead of trying the long field goal. Here's Phillips across the middle. And Edwards just appears. He breaks wide open for that split second, and he never drops the football.
Well, in that situation, of course, you know they're going to look for Edwards. And once again, he's singled up by Sproul. Virginia opts for the blitz, and you can see George Wells shaking his head. That's a great job by the offensive line of Georgia in picking this up. He's actually able to double pump. Edwards makes sure of it by dropping to his knees. Edwards now 8 catches for 79 yards.
It's all over. Go back to the ground game. Veron Haynes, who had a touchdown run earlier in the game. That'll keep the clock moving. Those are the early stages of quarter number 4 as you look at some of the numbers through the first 3 quarters.
This number had to be a little bit bigger for Virginia to be competitive in the game. Their star, Antoine Womack, their 1,000-yard rusher, only 14 carries for 54 yards up to this point. One of the major reasons why Virginia is down 10 here early in the 4th stanza.
Let's get a good look as night falls on Honolulu. Terrence Edwards, again from the shotgun at quarterback.
He's going to run.
Spins off one tackler, now reverses the field, now is pounded down to the 22 for another loss. Jerton Evans making his 9th tackle of the game.
Not only a loss, Steve, but now his totals will go under 100 yards. Obviously, Virginia is not going to be too frightened by this man's ability to throw the ball. Makes no pretense, no fake, no nothing.
No one else in the backfield even.
Cuts to the outside. And they're nothing but blue shirts. A lot of Wahoos around. Now his total is down to a mere 97 yards rushing on 5 carries.
Phillips back in quarterback. 2 receivers top of your screen to the left. Phillips pumps, goes to the end zone. It's there, wide open, touchdown. Damian Gary beats Tim Sproul, and Georgia once again answers right back after Virginia makes it close.
One of the more popular plays now inside the 20, Steve, is the slant and up. They fake as if they're going into the slant. They get the corner to bite, and he's able to cut up the field. That's what happened there. Great touch pass.
Bennett is on to attempt the extra point. And his attempt is successful. 21 yards, climaxing a 15-play, 82-yard drive. It's Phillips to Gary.
Well, for the second time in the game, when Virginia had a big play, a long play, Georgia answers back. Here with the touchdown pass to Gary.
Georgia, once again, expanding upon their lead, now 31-14. The end of the year, hour-long Sports Century specials come your way the week of December 29th. On Monday, Wayne Gretzky. Tuesday, Jim Brown. Wednesday, Babe Ruth. Thursday, Muhammad Ali. And it's all capped off Friday with #1, Michael Jordan at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, Friday.
I circled that because I was curious. Did you agree with that? Did you agree with him as #1?
I did. Did you have a problem with it? You would have gone Muhammad?
I did. No. I wouldn't have gone Muhammad.
Jim Brown?
I would have gone, actually, Jim Thorpe. When you think about playing pro baseball, pro football, and he was an Olympic gold medalist as a decathlete and pentathlete, pretty astonishing.
Kickoff, fielded on a bounce. Tavon Mason. And he is brought down to the 10-yard line. Let's go down to the field. Dave Ryan. Dave.
All right, in-game interview, guys, with Georgia coach Jim Donnan. How big was it to have that long drive and really stop the momentum of Virginia with Damian Gary getting the touchdown catch?
Well, we needed it because we hadn't run but 3 plays in the second half, and our defense been doing a good job, and we gave them an easy score. But I was really proud of that drive. We converted several 3rd downs and then the 4th down, and really good route by Damian. He's a great player.
You never say never with Virginia based on your past ball games, right?
Hey, everybody needs to stay tuned the way these games are finished, so let's see what happens. But hopefully we got enough to put them away.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
Nice of Jim to do a little promo for us as well, to stay tuned here throughout the 4th quarter. Alluding to a couple of years in the Peach Bowl. Virginia blew a 21-0 lead. Fumble picked up by Georgia. Touchdown! It's Cap Burnett. Second time in the game, Virginia has coughed one up, and Georgia was able to run it in for a touchdown. Kendrell Bell forced the fumble.
And it could be worse than that. As you can see, Antoine Womack, their star running back, is holding onto his knee. Hopefully this isn't too serious. But George Welsh talked about coming out at halftime. He said the one thing we had to avoid was shooting ourselves in the foot. Well, that's exactly what they did there, Steve.
That is the 3rd time in this game we have had a fumble returned for a touchdown. Because Georgia has 2 of them now.
That's an Oahu Bowl record, I'm pretty sure.
Kentrell Curry and Cap Burnett have done it for Georgia.
Take a look and see if the ball is stripped. It is. It is. Kendrell Bell is the man, the middle linebacker, who was able to strip him. I was trying to look at his leg there to see how serious that was, and hopefully it isn't, but then again, you never know.
2 touchdowns by Georgia in 16 seconds. Opening up now a 37-14 lead as we await the extra point and the word on Womack.
Checking to see, he's putting just a little, boy. To say he was putting a little weight on it, now he's not putting any on it at all, and you can see he's grimacing in pain. That's not a good sign.
The junior from Hampton, Virginia, really came on for Virginia this season. They expected a whole lot of them. Really had a strong year, leading the ACC in rushing. Here's Billy Bennett on for another extra point, and this one is no good. Bennett, who missed just 2 extra points all season, misses that one. 37-14 Georgia.
Presentation of the 2000 Jeep Oahu Bowl is presented by Jeep Grand Cherokee with legendary off-road capability, and in part by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
The Jeep Oahu Bowl, the 17th different bowl the Georgia Bulldogs have ever played in their 108 years playing football. That's more different bowls than any other school. I don't know if they keep inventing new bowls.
Yeah,
well,
right.
Georgia could add to that. The kick is deep into the end zone and taken by Tavon Mason. Good idea. He'll take a knee, and Virginia will start 1st and 10 from their own 20. Take a look at the injury to Womack, so we can further identify what happened. What's the left ankle?
Well, there's the right ankle. The left ankle folds underneath Bell. You can see right there, and that's one of the difficulties, of course, of AstroTurf is when the grip is that good. when you have that kind of footing. It hurts.
It's hurt Virginia all season, that their inability to score in the fourth quarter. So it makes a difference here. Here's Spinner running for his life and firing. Looking for John Duckett. Let's go down to Dave.
All right, guys, looked like a left ankle sprain that we saw on the replay a moment ago for Antoine Womack. Actually, trainers tell me a left knee sprain. He is done for the day. Joins Dan Ellis, who's in his street clothes on crutches right next to Antoine Womack on the Virginia bench. So both star players for UVA done for the game.
Womack, the only member of Virginia that made the first team All-ACC. That after not playing last season, took a leave of absence. His first game back at 15 carries for 160 yards against this school with the initials BYU.
Nice catch.
Middle screen, set up. Demetrius Dotson gets a couple of blocks. And then he is drilled down to the turf by Hollingshed, just past the 30-yard line.
It's a nice play right when he made the catch. So many times you have to gather yourselves to cut. But Dotson caught the ball, made the cut almost simultaneously, able to get up the field and move the sticks. That's a nice play.
Womack's numbers tonight, by the way, now that he is done for the game, 15 carries for 48 yards. 12.5 to go in the football game. As continues to get some attention. Send the man in motion. That's Dotson topping the screen. And here's Spinner. In trouble, running, and lofting one into double coverage. And it is intercepted. Picked off by Cap Burnett. Burnett having himself a game. Earlier, the fumble recovery for a touchdown, and there the interception. Fourth turnover of the game by Virginia.
There's a case of Spinner trying just a little bit too hard to try and make something happen. He should have run with the ball. Instead, he throws into double coverage. And this is a gift interception for Burnett. Dog ball when we come back.
Where can you see
Honolulu with Georgia leading Virginia 37-14. Waiting for the sound effect. Thank you. The 2-minute drill championship hosted by Kenny Mayne. Semifinals are over. Only 3 contestants remain. See who is crowned the ultimate sports fan. That's Christmas Day at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Among your panelists, Regis Philbin, Marcus Camby, and the Mike and Mike ESPN radio show in the morning. Mike Golick and Mike Greenberg. You'll want to tune in for that. Terrence Edwards is throwing from the quarterback position and completing to Reggie Brown. Jerton Evans, his 10th tackle of the game. Brown makes the catch. He's the true freshman.
To use a line from George Costanza, you disappoint me, my friend. I thought you were going to give me a tryout there on the 2-minute drill. You couldn't get me in.
Just, you know, George Costanza is not really a real person. It's a fictitious, made-up character
All right,
name.
Jason Alexander playing George Costanza.
Oh, I see.
Oh, okay. Mr. Expert Thespian. What's up with you?
I've called the folks, and quite frankly, Kenny doesn't want you on the show.
Oh, he does?
He's afraid you'll embarrass the rest of the people by knowing so much.
Nice patronage. I'm buying into that.
Here's Milliken trying the right side. Todd, you understand, as the panelist, you only get to ask the questions.
Forget that. I want to compete.
Get to answer.
I want to compete. Throw me in there.
Some of the signage on hand here in Hawaii.
Signage?
Yeah, signage.
Is that a word?
Sure.
Let's go to our expert, Kim Anderson. That's a word?
Look around at the sponsorship, the billboards in the stadium and the arenas. That's all signage. Yeah, that's what it's called.
As opposed to, would you like my signage or would you like my signature?
Well,
all right.
It's marketing and sales, 2 areas you've obviously never dabbled in before.
No, public relations, that's my strength.
3rd down and 8. Play clock down to 2. They get it off. Here's Phillips airing it out. Sideline got a man. No. Good catch, but he was out of bounds. And then he did not hang on to the ball. Bring up a 4th and 8. Corey Collier, the intended receiver. Hey, ESPN. Very nice. And congratulations. You made it. And if you had SportsCenter was next, you'd have a shot at getting on again. Bring up a 4th and 8 after the long distance incomplete pass.
Don't really care who wins. Come on.
Jonathan Kilgo set to punt it away. You know, last year, what a difference. We were here in Hawaii, was actually playing, and the crowd, tremendous crowd, really into the game. And here you can understand there's not a whole lot of interest.
Whoa.
A booming punt by Kilgo. That'll
64.
Bounce into the end zone. Wow. 64 yards.
1 yard more than the punt. by his opposing number.
Kilgo's longest this season was 67. Nearly nailed that one there.
Well, you saw the big grin on his face. As a former punter and kicker myself, I know that feeling. And it's kind of like when guys talk about hitting home runs and they don't feel the ball off the bat. It hits your foot just right and then it turns over and spins. Man.
And there you go.
Go ahead, say it. You're the man. You're the native.
Want me to say it?
I do.
Sports Center is next. There you go.
I knew that.
Mele Kalikimana.
Close enough.
I practiced like 20 times driving over to the stadium today. Got it right when it counted. Foreman, the fullback, carrying the football out to the 25. Hollingshed, another tackle for him.
I would think, and again, speculation by me is a moot point, but with 10:49 and the clock running, I'm going to do it anyway. And that is based on the way the Georgia defense has been playing. I'd have to think that Gary Gibbs, after his hiatus from football, certainly would be a logical choice for somebody to hire.
Was hired last Valentine's Day back here after taking 5 years off. I think you'd be right, Tom. Here's Spinner throwing across the green. Chris Luzar was banged out of bounds and showing some fire and fighting back there on the sideline well after the play.
Once again, a great job by the defense for Georgia. In pursuit, it appeared he only had 1 or 2 men to beat, but the white shirts flew over there. As coaches say over and over again, you can't teach speed. Georgia's got someone on their defense.
Luzar backs up Baber at the tight end position. We're told Luzar has the better hands, better receiver. He struggled a hamstring throughout the course of this season. 3rd down and 3. Send the man in motion. That's Dotson. Here's Spinner. Quick fire. And off the fingertips of the intended receiver, McGrew. Could not hang on. Brings up a 4th and 3.
McGrew didn't want to keep going. That was the slant route. Spinner throw where it's supposed to be, and McGrew got a little bit tentative. He slows down just a little bit. The result is it goes off his fingertips. Those are tough catches, but if you're going to play the position and run those routes, you got to make them.
Mike Abrams back in punt formation. Punted 5 times so far for a 45-yard average. And it would have been blocked, and he tucks it. Here's Abrams taking off now, and he'll come up shy of the 1st down marker, and you see he slams the ball into the turf. Chris Clemens took him down. That was not a set play. That punt would have been blocked.
And Clemens does a nice job here of pursuit because all the other Georgia people had run downfield. And, of course, the punter is saying to himself, look, if I just get past these guys, I know I can get it. Now watch. Maybe it gets blocked, maybe it doesn't, but we've been taught this year, Steve, as we've seen a number of punters try and do this. These are not tremendous athletes. These are not speed guys. Clemens proves that by dropping him here, and the result, even though the game is already out of hand, that was a bad decision.
Jermaine Phillips, one of the 2 players that put the pressure on the punter.
Well, Abrams, again, thought he could do it, wanted to make a big play, but wasn't in the cards.
So Georgia will take over. Veron Hayes carries the ball inside the 25. George Stanley cut him down. 10 minutes to play here in the 4th.
Situation, I'm trying to remember what the game was. I think it was Purdue and Penn State. When the punter, remember that?
Which time?
Well, no, it was, but yeah, he did it twice in the game. He pulled it down thinking it was going to block, and of course the coach is saying, look, kick it anyway. Just kick it. Because as a former player and having played on the punt return team, I know how difficult it actually is to block a kick. You see so many times the guy right there and he can't do it.
2nd and 7. It's Haynes again trying the left side on for size and carrying a couple of defenders. Close to a 1st down, and a flag behind the play as one of the Cavaliers lost his helmet. It's Raymond Mann. Raymond Mann lost his helmet as the hanky fell to the turf.
Now, did he get it pulled off? This is always the debate.
There's Raymond, the true freshman from Hampton, Virginia, one of 8 true freshmen to really see the field for the Cavaliers this season.
Only 2 this time?
We had 3 earlier in case you're just joining us.
One play.
And all were wiped out.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both during the dead ball period. Personal foul on the defense, personal foul on the offense. By rule, they cancel. We will now measure to see if we have a first down.
They come up just short.
Have you ever noticed that officials, sometimes they do it with the 2 hands,
yeah,
and then other times they do it with the thumb and index finger?
Yeah.
He's very, very strategic there as you look at the notable Bulldogs in the NFL. Notice that a number of those, of course, are tailbacks. Terrell Davis, Olandis Gary, Robert Edwards, Garrison Hurst. Oddly enough, you see, as I just mentioned, those 4, they're all injured. I don't know if there's we know why that is. Hines Ward, of course, plays some quarterback at Georgia. Does a great job as a wideout for Pittsburgh. Champ Bailey going to the Pro Bowl for the Redskins. John Casey still holds the record for field goals in a season, 4 in the NFC with 37. And Mo Lewis, a terrific outside linebacker for the Jets. He really hasn't gotten a lot of pub. He's a terrific football player.
3rd and inches. They surge ahead with Corey Phillips keeping it on the ground. And he has enough for the first down.
How'd the Jets do today?
I haven't seen that score yet, Todd. You know, he's mentioned Champ Bailey. He was in the game of the Peach Bowl. These 2 teams got together last time in '98. Played 113 plays. 42 on offense, 60 on defense, and 11 on special teams. And he scored a touchdown today as a wide receiver for the Redskins.
He had the nerve to get oxygen. I couldn't believe it. I was broadcasting that game. It was a tremendous performance.
Final seconds on the play clock, and they get it off. It's Reggie Wall, and he is hit hard. The Cavaliers, despite the score, they keep punishing whenever possible. Devon Simmons made that hit.
The trade-off, unfortunately, for some of the big hits is the number of missed tackles. Gets held up, turns on, I can't see him coming. Wow. That's a defensive back and linebacker's dream. Catch him when he isn't looking.
15 missed tackles if you're scoring at home for Virginia. That's prior to Simmons making that tackle. 2nd down and 9 as the wind whips up just a little bit. Quick hitter, and the pass is complete to Darrell Robinson. And he's brought down the 10-yard line.
Comes over and gets the high five from the quarterback. I think people forget, those that don't, Jim Donnan, not only the head coach, but calls the plays. He's an offensive coordinator by trade. Remember, he was the offensive coordinator for Oklahoma in that great stretch of teams they had in the 80s. Offensive coordinator for their national champions in 1985.
Bring up a 3rd down and 4. Off the play action, thrown off his back foot and threw it out of bounds. Looking to go to Jason Rader, the backup tight end. You know, you mentioned Donnan. You keep looking for reasons, tangible reasons, and why he might be fired. And you know, the record is so good. I guess one of the downsides is that I ran into Florida and Tennessee in the conference at the wrong time. Struggled against some of the teams, the best teams in the conference, and see, he figured a couple of Georgia Tech losses really hurt them in the season finales against their arch rival. But you know, otherwise, another team, another school looks at him and say, "Hey, numbers are great. Maybe there's something wrong there," and that's unfortunate.
It's a little unfair.
Stay off the center again.
26-yard field goal attempt. Kerouac, who's just been kicking off,
Dead ball, delay of game.
set to attempt this field goal. They're going to push it back. Delay again, they'll push it back 5 yards.
Well, now, this is interesting. I can only speculate as to why this is. Remember, Billy Bennett is 14 out of 15 on the season. I mean, the guy's got a great average. Did he hurt himself, or what's the deal?
And a true freshman.
I noticed that when he went to go out on the field, Jim Donnan held him back.
Kerouac up. And no good. And the score remains 37-14 Georgia. Quincy Carter, a 1-yard touchdown run. A late touchdown run by Aaron Brooks cut the Georgia lead to 2. However, Virginia's two-point conversion comes up short, and a sellout record crowd at the Georgia Dome went wild. Georgia comes back, beats Virginia 35-33. Quincy Carter had a couple touchdowns passing, 1 rushing. He threw 3 interceptions in the second quarter in that game. Part of the reason they got so far behind early.
Of course, Aaron Brooks, who'd have thunk it? Now the starting quarterback for New Orleans, having a tremendous year with the injury to Jeff Blake.
Here's Virginia on the ground at Tyree Foreman. Not much there as you look at the respective coaches. Welsh leaving under his own terms, just has had enough. The job has changed. It's probably not worth the effort anymore for him. And Jim Donnan, you got to figure he coaches someplace. Question is it next season someplace?
And it's clear that he still has some juice for coaching. It's not as if he's tired or burned out or upset. I mean, certainly he's disappointed with the way things have transpired, but I'm with you. I think he's going to coach someplace. Nice catch.
Caught by Billy Baber, the tight end, as Bryson Spinner was on the money there.
Sometimes it's tough when you're 6'7" to get down like that. Baber able to do it. Runs the seam route, trying to find his way in the middle of the zone. The ball is thrown low. Look at that. Good body adjustment. Nice hands to come up with it. All right. 87. Dave Casper. Tight end. Pretty good.
This will be 1st and 10. So we come back to present times. Here's Dodson on the play action. They hand it off. And it's Foreman again, just across midfield. Jermaine Phillips the stop, gain of 13 on the play.
We haven't had a chance to talk a lot about the guards, Lawson and Routson, but there they move their people out. It's the strength of their offensive line, numbers 52 and 57. They're only juniors, so they'll come back. They've had a nice run of offensive linemen. Remember, last year LaMontagne was drafted as well as St. Clair. That's a strength for the Wahoos.
Lawson and Routson just 2 of 5 offensive linemen all time to start 3 consecutive bowl games for Virginia.
Holy cow. Foreman went the wrong way. So frustrating for the quarterback. He's all set to pitch. He looks back and there's nobody there.
Terrence Smith made the tackle. 5.5 left in the 4th.
How frustrating that's got to be as a quarterback. He went one way, he zigged, the other guy zagged, and just he's about to get whacked, he looks and can't do anything about it.
Can you circle the ball quickly, Todd? Can you find it? Find the one. It's like, where's Waldo?
There it was.
Oh, yeah, sure. When the center gets over it, chances are the football's there.
That is a lot of color.
Here's Spinner now. Rolling out. And a little flip there. And Demetrius Dotson picks it up and picks up a gain.
Trying to do one of those Brett Favre things from all sorts of angles. Does the flip forward, does not cross the line of scrimmage, heads up play.
Ryan Fleming, his first tackle of the game.
So you get used to doing those flips anyway on options. Puts it right in his hands. And Dotson, you know, Dotson's had a pretty good game here. The touchdown, had a deep catch. Done some good things for them.
He doesn't look totally stress-free.
No.
But you get the sense he's headed in that direction.
Yeah.
And good for him.
And I was just about to say very deserving.
Spinner under some pressure, firing across the middle, nearly picked off. Jermaine Phillips had a big game, tackles, nearly caused the turnover there. Let's go down to the field. Dave.
Well, we talked a lot about George Welsh, Steve, in his last game. Back in 1963, he resigned his commission in the Navy as a lieutenant with 2 stripes, stationed here in Oahu. Now, his 2 oldest children, Sally and George, lived here in Hawaii as young kids. This week, the coach and his wife, Sandra, took their children back to the same duplex they lived back in 1963. Sally even remembered where a swing was hung in the backyard. The thing is, the duplex was abandoned, and a police officer came by. Once the coach had to explain what the family was doing there, everything was okay. Nice memory, though, for him.
That is. Great story.
On 4th and 4 now, here's Spinner in some trouble. Trying to cut up field for the first down marker, and we'll see if he gets a generous spot. They might give it to him as Jonathan Sullivan, another one of those true freshmen, make the tackle.
One of the nice things about retirement, I know that with my father, sometimes you get a chance to revisit things and the memories, and certainly that man has to have a lot of great memories. Of course, I believe you were the one that asked him, or Rhino asked him about the game that stands out in his mind, and he pointed out that 95 game against Florida State where Warwick Dunn was stopped. Was it 95? Is that right? I think it was. Warwick Dunn was stopped just short of the goal line. They tore down the place. Very exciting. I remember watching the game. I think it was either a Thursday night or Saturday night game that Espen did.
They turn it over on downs. They come up short of the first down. One streak that will unfortunately likely come to an end for George Welsh and Virginia is they needed a win to get a 14th consecutive 7-win season. Florida State, Michigan, and Nebraska are the only teams who've done it longer than Virginia. Welcome back. Fourth quarter, just over 4 minutes to play. Georgia, a comfortable lead of 37-14. Just as soon as this game ends, SportsCenter will come your way with Rich Eisen and Linda Cohn. The NFL playoff picture comes with a much better focus after the events of tonight.
You called it. You called it.
SportsCenter is coming up. The Sunday conversation with Peyton Manning and, of course, the plays of the week. All coming up on SportsCenter. Rich and Linda right after the game. And of course, Peyton Manning of the Colts clinching a playoff spot today.
One of only 3 quarterbacks in the NFL this year, Steve, to throw for over 4,000 yards.
New quarterback for Georgia, and it was LeBron Mitchell, the wide receiver. Johnny Brown is the carrier there.
Threw 5 touchdown passes today, I think. Did I see that? Peyton Manning? 4 or 5.
Didn't catch with the time difference here. Did not catch the end of that football game. It's kind of neat waking up at 8 a.m. here.
There's
getting NFL football.
That is different.
Here's Mitchell running into Virginia defenders and in trouble. So no Quincy Carter. Corey Phillips played quarterback. Terrence Edwards played quarterback, and now LeBron Mitchell. As you look at the tattoos, Dave documented earlier the offensive line of the tight ends. Of course, those tattoos, we should point out, they're not permanent. They'll come off in a couple of weeks. And as Larry Beal, our colleague, always says, aloha means goodbye. I mean, kind of strange. All of these careers only with the particular team that they were coaching with, and this would be their final game. And we add 2 more to the list with the 2 head coaches here tonight. On 3rd down and 12, handoff to Johnny Brown. Brown trying to turn the corner, and now he'll try to turn the other corner. And he slips down at the 27-yard line. Johnny Brown, the senior from Jonesboro, Georgia. Maybe a nice gesture and an attempt by Jim Donnan to get the senior some playing time in his final college game.
Absolutely. You can tell he certainly isn't used to AstroTurf. That 25-yard line just reached up and bit him. Tripped him up. I say that not necessarily in whimsy, but I actually broke a bone in my foot when that happened. AstroTurf just reached up and got me.
David Klassen is on a punt. Our first look at him in punt formation today, standing at his own 15. Arlen Harris is back deep for Virginia. And nearly blocked. Clausen got it away. Harris will let it bounce. And it'll bounce out at the 31-yard line. With 1:48 to play here in the 4th quarter, Georgia, for the first time ever, will win 4 consecutive bowl games, all under Jim Donnan. He's a hero. And
a celebrity.
Some of the Georgia faithful on hand here.
The victor go the spoils.
And again, with a great history of Georgia football, I mean, a traditional power, a bowl power. First time ever they'll win 4 consecutive bowl games.
I just find it awkward. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Don't you find it awkward a 19-year-old or 20-year-old signing autographs?
I say let him enjoy the moment. Sure. Matt Schaub is in at quarterback. Michael McGrew on the receiving end, and Schaub is 1 for 1. Schaub, the redshirt freshman out of Westchester, Pennsylvania.
And he's excited. He's into it. And well, he should be. This is great. Get a chance to get in a bowl game.
Drop, looks off his intended target, then screens it out to Jonathan Ward, a true freshman, as both head coaches empty their respective benches.
Now he's going to tell his buddies, first 2, I'm 2 for 2. Keep it going.
SportsCenter comes your way next.
You know what, Steve?
Rich and Linda?
I was about to say, I think that too many people forget that there are so few of these young people that go on and play professionally. But this is a big deal here to be in a bowl game. You know, and I'm not saying, I don't want to be so modest and say you remember the rest of your life, but I mean, it's a great memory.
Well, there must be some kind of study, and maybe you even know the figure, that the percentage of college football players that play in the NFL, as that ball was right there to Michael McGrew, and he's 3 for 3 now.
Well, Thomas Tutko is the famous author of Sports, Winning is Everything and Other American Myths, and he pointed out the number of participants. He didn't have college broken down, but he said number of participants in the 4 major sports, football, basketball, baseball, and hockey. The number of participants that are in it and the number that actually get paid for it, it's 1/410,000th of 1%.
Wow. So that's why you see a college kid signing an autograph. I'm all for it. Case Luzar, Chris's younger brother, on the reception there. Now 11 of 12 for the season, and Schaub remains perfect here in the football game tonight. Our Capital One players of the game. I know I was not asked about this, Todd, so I'll just assume you were the one doing the voting here. Terrence Edwards, an obvious choice at wide receiver, running back, or quarterback for Georgia. And Byron Thweet continues to be a standout for Virginia. He had a fumble return for a touchdown to go along with 5 tackles.
Of course, you're looking at Edwards. Edwards had 5 rushes for 97 yards and another 9 catches for 84 yards. He was multi-purpose today. He was outstanding, particularly in the first half.
He's just a sophomore. Terrence Edwards is amazing. With 52 seconds left, and congratulations being exchanged, handshakes and hugs. I'm sure we'll see it on both sidelines.
Well liked. You documented earlier, and I think that to me, if I was a coach, that would be so gratifying that the players went to the administration and said, this guy's got to coach. It's got to feel good as a coach.
And that ball should have been caught. Case Luzar could not come up with that one. And, you know, for Jim Donnan, he still wonders why. Nobody has ever told him, or at least on the record that he was able to tell us, why he was fired. He said it came as a total shock. There was no warning. Hey, you got to do this differently. None of that. And it was just a decision made by the school.
Well, you speculated upon it earlier. The losses to Florida, Tennessee, and Georgia Tech. If I'm not mistaken, I think the record was something like 5-12 in the years that he was there with those 3. But nonetheless, take a look at this. I mean, record as a head coach, and I realize, sure, it's at Marshall, but remember, who remembered Marshall before Jim Donnan got there?
As Schaub looks to pass, and again completes it to Jonathan Ward. And I guess the point is that, you know, Georgia's saying they're not content with just being a good school, a top 25 school, but they want to play with the big boys, you know, in the top 5 teams in the nation, and the idea is to win a national championship.
But that brings up an interesting discussion. It's the same argument that they had down in Alabama, which was everybody wants to bring back the Bear. You know, we want to do what the Bear used to do. Well, the Bear's not there. You can't do that. And of course, I realize that maybe some of the people in Georgia are impatient for the days of Herschel Walker when they played for a national championship some 20 years ago, and it's just not fair. It's a different era.
George Welsh told us he has 2 years left on his deal before deciding to retire. They offer him another 2-year extension for recruiting purposes, so he can go in the home team and say, hey, I'll be around for 4 years. And it's just not in the cards there. As Schaub takes off for a good gain down to the 15-yard line. And he said he really thought about it. The 2-year extension was for a lot of money. And then he said, you know what, it's just the stress level. That was the word he kept harping on, the stress level of the position in modern college football.
Well, as odd as it sounds, Steve, and I've used this phrase before, at what cost money? You know, and maybe at this stage of life it's just not as crucial. It's
67 years old.
Yeah, right. You know, health is a factor. You know, what, I want a bigger car, a bigger house?
Nope.
Come on.
How much is too much? It's the 223rd and final game for George Welsh coaching at Virginia. Schaub going to put it in the end zone and overthrows his intended target, Case Luzar.
I haven't meant to overreact to what Schaub is doing here, but now having a son that competes at the collegiate level, you get so thrilled to see people get out there and be a part of things. And wherever you are, Mr. and Mrs. Schaub, this is pretty cool. Your son gets in here to a game. I realize there aren't that many people in the stands. It's the end. It's out. I don't care. It's great. This is great.
What'd you get Toby for Christmas, or is this a bad time to ask? He might be watching.
I'm sure he's gone by now. We'll get him a laptop computer.
I can't believe you just gave it away.
No, come on. He's watching right now, then more power to him.
Here's Schaub across the middle. And is it a catch? They say it's a catch.
Wow,
nice grab. Michael McGrew, and another good ball thrown by Schaub.
I say that because the extension he backhands with his hands, usually that's another one that you try and cradle. Wow.
And Virginia will call a timeout, milking this. Why not? Go for one more score, make the score a little more respectable when you see the final in the newspaper tomorrow. Let's go down to the sideline. Here's Dave Ryan. Dave?
All right, Coach Donnan, looks pretty good in the last moments here. How crucial was it for these guys, your staff and yourself, to go out as a winner?
Well, it was good for everybody. Hey. Go D! Hey, I was real happy for our program. You know, 4 straight years, win bowl, be in the top 20, that's pretty good. But these are good kids, and they represented our program like it should have tonight.
How about your future and the program's future?
I don't know about the program, but, you know, I've enjoyed it. But they need to get a coach pretty quick because recruiting. But these are good kids, and they'll respond to whoever they get.
What's your last thought here as Georgia coach? What's going through your mind right now?
Hey, I couldn't hear you.
What are the last thoughts going through your mind right now?
Well, I'm just happy. I'm happy to get this win tonight. That was crucial for our staff and our team. That was great.
Thanks so much.
Dave, thank you. Nice job under some difficult conditions. As Schaub rolls and throws, incomplete. Were they chanting "Don't leave"? Was that the chant behind Jim Donnan? You could hear a player or two scream in the background, "Don't leave, coach."
Well, give him credit. I mean, they do like him, but then again, you know, they're a little undisciplined there. They're out of control. Hey, knock it off now. That's why he started the interview. I thought that was funny. Done some good things.
I'll go to 19-4, Todd, as a head coach in postseason football. Now, majority of that at Division I AA, Marshall, when they were Division I AA, but 4-0 in bowl games here in Georgia. Very impressive numbers all around for Jim Donnan. That ball is thrown into the end zone and deflected off the player. Case Luzar, who all of a sudden has become a favorite target of Matt Schaub. And that'll do it. Jim Donnan is raised up by his players among their shoulders. And the final score, Donnan and Georgia defeat Welsh and Virginia 37-14.
Well, it's got to be really exciting for that man, even though he tries to poo-poo it a little bit. You saw the emotion that he had when he was talking to Dave Ryan, saying that he was 4-0 in the record, and maybe in the top 20. He's got to feel pretty good about himself. As for George Welsh, what a tremendous career and what he's done in Charlottesville. 10 bowls in the last 12 years. A terrific legacy for that man and what he has done for Virginia and the ACC.
For Todd Christensen and Dave Ryan, this is Steve Levy. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. George Welch and Jim Donnan, they both go out winners. Merry Christmas, everybody, and to all a good night. Now stay tuned for SportsCenter.